Hey guys, what is up? I hope everyone's having a great day. Okay, so this is Isaac Baruch's full deposition from Depp v. Heard VA trial. I am going to make this intro as quickly as possible because we're looking at like a 3-hour video going through this whole thing. So let's just get right into it. Again, I hope everyone's doing well. All right, so the first page is just the first page, second page. Now, this was done in November of 2019. So this is actually when Robbie Kaplan was still Amber's lawyer. Now, Robbie Kaplan decided to tell the world that she could not be Amby Pantso's lawyer because of travel costs getting to VA. That seems like a big old cop-out to me. I'm going to say because you can't defend someone, like you didn't know how to maneuver yourself around your client's lies. It would have been so difficult to try and jump through the hoops of fire that Amber wanted her legal team to jump through in order to make a lot of these things that she was saying actually work in logical sense. So yeah, so this was Robbie Kaplan. Let's just get to. So everyone's just introducing themselves. Okay, so Ben Chu starts off the questioning. So Ben Chu, good morning, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, good morning. Ben, and thank you again for being here today. Isaac's like, yeah. Ben, we'll try to make it as quick as possible. Isaac, okie dokie. Ben, are you represented by an attorney today? Isaac, no. Ben, since you're not, I just want to give you a very brief introduction and go over some of the ground rules that Mr. Brooke will correct me or supplement where I go wrong, very briefly. Mr. Quinn speaked up. He said, I'll be speaking for Ms. Heard today. Ben's like, oh, okay. Ben Chu, this is a defamation case brought by Mr. Depp against Ms. Heard that's pending in the Circuit Court of Fairfax, Virginia. That's Virginia State Court. My name is Ben Chu, and I, Adam Waldman, Camille Vasquez, and Mona Godzari represent Mr. Depp in this matter. Davida Brooke and her able team here represent Ms. Heard. I will ask you some questions, after which Ms. Heard's counsel will ask you some more, and then at the very end, I will follow up and ask you some final questions. Some rules of the road. You are under oath, so of course, you will tell the truth. That's always rule one. If you don't understand the question that I or Ms. Heard's counsel ask you, please let us know and we'll try to ask you a better question. If you don't know the answer to a question or can't remember, some of the questions will relate to a time period long ago. Just say so. Please don't speculate. If you don't know something, you don't know. If you don't know something, obviously tell us what you, if you do know something, obviously please tell us what you know. I was like, Ben, Ms. Heard's counsel may object to some of my questions. I may object to some of theirs. You don't have to pay too much attention to these objections, though if there are any disputes between the lawyers, they're going to be resolved by a judge at a future time. They're not for you to worry about or adjudicate. You should please wait until the end of a question before answering. If there's an objection, if you could please wait till the counsel has finished his or her objection. Isaac, okay. Ben, California limits the time, and Ms. Brooks can speak to this better than I can, limits the time of a deposition to 7 hours total running time. Time spent talking, a break doesn't count. Time spent for a break for lunch doesn't count, but 7 hours of actual testimony, that's the limit. Ms. Heard's counsel and we have agreed to split the time. We'll go first, she'll go second, and we'll clean up, if anything. But I don't think we're going to keep you here nearly that long, and we're not going to keep you here. Isaac, however long it takes, I'm good. Ben, thank you very much, Mr. Baruch. And finally, please feel free to take breaks whenever you wish. It's none of our business why you want to take a break. Just let us know. I'd like to take a break, and we'll take a break. We would appreciate if you would wait to finish the answer to a question before you take a break. And once you finish the answer to that particular question, go ahead and take a break. Isaac, okay. Ben, does that make sense? Isaac, yeah, totally. Yeah, I understand. Ben, Mr. Baruch, how old are you? Isaac, I'm 58. Ben, and that is the prime of life? What educational background, if any, have you had since high school? Isaac, I graduated down here at Cal State, Long Beach, got a BFA, Bachelor's of Fine Arts. Ben, what is your profession? Isaac, I'm an artist. Ben, and do you specialize in a particular form of art? Isaac, figurative art. Ben, is it mostly medium of painting? Isaac, oil painting, yeah, oil painting. Ben, in what city do you live? Isaac, I live in West Hollywood. Ben, did you ever live at Penthouse 2 at the Eastern Columbia building? Isaac, yeah, I moved in March of 2013. In fact, I was the first one to be living up there. Ben, is it also called or known as the Eastern Columbia Building? Sorry, I shortened it just because that was a lot. Isaac, yeah, the Eastern Columbia. Ben, why did you move out of Penthouse 2? Oh, when did you move out of Penthouse 2? Isaac, in 2016, I want to say maybe around October. Ben, who owns Penthouse 2? Isaac, it's October maybe. Could have been a little bit before. I was really like a little bit before. I think maybe, but yeah, say that again. Ben, so you lived there a little more than 2 years. Is that correct? Isaac, yeah. Ben, and who owned Penthouse 2 at the time? Isaac, Johnny. Ben, when you say Johnny, do you mean Johnny Depp? Isaac, Johnny Depp, yep. Ben, when? Isaac, should I say Johnny Depp every time I'm going to say Johnny? Ben, no, Johnny's fine. I just want to make sure the record is clear once. Isaac, if I say Johnny, it's Johnny Depp. If I say Amber, it's Amber Heard. If I say, okay? Ben, perfect. Now that's good. That saves time too. I appreciate that. When did you first meet Johnny? Isaac, oh, I was 19. I don't know the year that was. I'm 2 years older than him, so I was 19 and he was 17. Ben, so if I were doing my math, is that 39 years ago? Isaac, yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, okay, however long. Ben, is it fair to say you know Johnny well? Isaac, yeah. Ben, on how many occasions in your 39 years have you met with Johnny? Isaac, I can't count. Yeah, a lot. Ben, more than 100? Isaac, yeah. Ben, more than? Isaac, of course. Ben, 200? Isaac, I don't know. I can't put a number on it. Yeah, it's Ben. And putting aside the number of times you've met with him, have you spent a lot of time with him? Isaac, pretty much, yep. Ben, did Mr. Depp ever live in Penthouse 3 at the Eastern Columbia Building while you were living there? Isaac, yeah. Ben, from when to when did he live there? Isaac, I moved in first. I was invited to move in there first, and there was no one else up there. I was up there for like probably around a month or so, give or take, and then Amber and Johnny moved into Penthouse 3, probably like a month later or something like that. Ben, were you? Isaac, I believe. Ben, what was Penthouse 2 next to Penthouse 3? Isaac, yeah. Ben, did you see them virtually every day Isaac, when they moved in? Ben, yes. Isaac, at the beginning, yeah, but I was there for working. I'm living there and working. So, and there are times that I kept to myself and stuff. So, but for the most part, yeah, I would go. Our patios were right next to each other. And when they first moved in, there was stuff that they were doing with the patios because the dogs were there and the dogs were coming over to my patio and crapping on my patio. And they didn't want that. And the dog will come while I was working and stuff. And there's paint and stuff. So they didn't want to have that interfere. Ben, well, Isaac, so there was, this thing that, and yeah, we'd eat together. We'd hang out together. Yeah. Ben, did your key to Penthouse 2 also open Penthouse 3, or did it just? Isaac, no, it was just a key for Penthouse 2. Ben, were there any other penthouses on the floor along? Isaac, yeah. There's 5 penthouses. There's 5. Penthouse 1 where Rocky lived. I was in 2. Then there's Penthouse 3 where Johnny and Amber were. And then there's Penthouse 4 where multiple times there were different people living there. First it was Amber's sister, Whitney was living there. And then Johnny's daughter, Lily Rose, was staying there. And then, maybe some friends. Yeah, at different times, a friend of Johnny's would stay there. And then there was Penthouse 5. That was the last one to get constructed. And that, no one was living there. That was basically Penthouse 5 became Amber's closet. Ben, okay. Isaac, on the top floor. Ben, who is Elizabeth Mars? Isaac, I don't know her. Mr. Brooke, and I'm going to leave the objections to Mr. Quinn, but just for our court reporter's sake, if I could make a dockroom point, it's really awkward. It's a really awkward thing, these depositions, but if you try to wait to answer your question until Mr. Chu has finished asking questions, she's trying to write down everything we're all saying right at the same time that we're doing it. She's a real hero. Isaac, oh, she's a stenographer. Mr. Brooks, exactly. Isaac, I had no clue. Ms. Brooks, so that's what I'm letting you know. Ben Chu, I appreciate you saying that. I think it was my fault. I think I spoke over you, which I'm not supposed to do. Isaac, okay. If I'm talking too fast, you let me know, okay? He said, oh, you're typing now. Oh, okay. All right. Oh, Isaac. Ben, so when you say Josh, you're referring to Josh Drew? Isaac, yeah. Ben, and did you, Isaac, Rocky moved in first. She was there for a while and then she started dating, I guess, Josh. And then given some time, then Josh ended up moving in. He would be there at first, he'd, do the sleepover thing. I mean, they're boyfriend and girlfriend and stuff. And then after a while, after, however long it was, I have no clue, you have months exactly or whatever. And yeah, he moved in with her. Ben, and you say Rocky, referring to Rocky Pennington, right? Isaac, right. Raquel Pennington. Raquel Pennington is Rocky and Josh is Josh Drew. Ben, and I think you're right. We can just use the first names for shorthand. Isaac, okay. Ben, you mentioned Amber Heard. When did you first meet Amber Heard? Isaac, the first week that I moved in, when I first moved in and then they moved in afterwards, I met her and, their first week of when they moved in, because I think they might have moved in, like they didn't tell me or whatever. And like, it was like your day or, a couple of days later and it was like, hey, Isaac, we're over here. And it's like, oh, okay. And he had invited us, said, come over, meet my girl. Ben, well, good. And from the time that you met Amber Heard, did you, Amber and Johnny socialize? Isaac, oh, yeah. Ben, did Amber become a friend of yours as well? Isaac, yeah. I liked all of them. When they moved in. Everyone was very respectful of me, also knowing that I've been friends with Johnny for who knows how long, And so, it was like one happy floor family. Ben, would you have dinner together? Isaac, sure. Ben, drinks together? Isaac, yeah. Well, Ben, while Johnny and Amber and you were all living in Penthouse 2, you were living in Penthouse 2, they were living in Penthouse 3, did you ever on any occasion see Johnny hit Amber? Isaac, never. Ben, have you ever? Isaac, never. In fact, every time that I would go hang out with them, he was all sweet as hell to her. She was sweet to him. Ben, Isaac, she was sweet to me, and so there was that. I seen other things. I've been present where phone conversations that I experienced, that I was there where it was definitely taunting and abusive on her part. Ben, would you, Mr. Quinn, move on to strike that testimony? Mr. Chu, would you please tell us when the first time you heard that type of phone conversation between Amber and Johnny, if you remember? Isaac, the first, she was in New York filming a movie called, I believe it was The Adderall Diaries, and she was in New York and I had gone over to Johnny's to hang out and he's arguing on the phone. They're both arguing and, talking on the phone in what seems to be sort of an argument. He had also been drinking and I was like, what's going on, It's like, and I'm listening to the conversation. I'm there and he's accusing her of being unfaithful. And I could hear what she's saying. And she's going, Johnny, why you saying this? What's going on? Why you being like this? Why? What's this, And so at that phone call hangs up, he hangs up and she would call back again. And then the same type of thing. Johnny, why are you being like this? Kind of like egging him on and taunting him. And he wasn't. It's not going to be a rational conversation, Ben, Isaac, it's like, why do this? Why egg him on, It's like, end the conversation and then, that's it. Talk another time. Basically, he hung up a couple of times. She called back a couple of times, kept calling back and going, Johnny, why are you doing this? Why are you being like this? What's the matter, Johnny? What's the matter? Why, tell me what's the matter. And it's kind of a taunt. And I start getting pissed off because she's taunting the guy, this is not going to be a constructive conversation. And finally, I got pissed off and I grabbed the phone from Johnny and I said, hey, Amber, this is Isaac. So this conversation is now going to end because this is going nowhere. And I hung up the phone and then she didn't call back again. Then, and Mr. Baruch, did you ever see them? Did you ever witness any in-person arguments between the two of them? Isaac, one time, yes. Well, it was more like being annoyed with each other. And here's the strange thing, or it's actually, I don't find it strange, but maybe someone else will. Whenever that I went over to their apartment one night, and in the apartment at the dinner table, it was, the table that's for the kitchen. This is Penthouse 3. Isaac, yeah, Penthouse 3. This is Penthouse 3. And in the kitchen at the table is Rocky and Josh and Amber and Johnny. And then I sat down and they were having a discussion about Whitney. They wanted Whitney to move out and they were trying to figure out how to do it. And as I was like, I liked Whitney, and so I was like, oh, that's a drag, why is she leaving? And it was getting a little too close for comfort for them. And so it was like, hey, maybe lend her some money, they were trying to figure out how to tell Whitney to leave. And somebody made some, hey, lend her the money type of thing. And Johnny was annoyed with how it was going and stuff. And rather than argue, he got up and walked away. Ben, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Please finish. Isaac, and he just, figure it out, and he walked away rather than get into an argument. He just walked away. Ben, I apologize for interrupting. Isaac, no, that's okay. Ben, did he raise his voice? Isaac, no. Ben, did he hit anybody? Isaac, no. Ben, have you ever from the beginning of time seen Mr. Depp commit any act of violence whatsoever against Amber Heard? Isaac, no. Ben, have you ever seen him from the beginning of the time to this very moment? Have you ever seen him commit any acts of violence against a woman? Isaac, no. Ben, have you ever, from the beginning of time to this very day, to this very moment, seen him commit an act of violence against any person? Isaac, no. I personally have never seen him ever get into a fight, ever. Ben, have you ever seen Amber Heard commit any acts of violence against Johnny or anyone else? Isaac, well, I think the conversation that they had on the phone was violent and an act of abuse on her part. That one day when I was probably around 3 months in that I was living there, Johnny had knocked on my door and come over, which was kind of out of the ordinary. And usually I would go over to his place. So it was kind of surprising, hey, he had been over there, both him and Amber had come over to look at paintings, and then when they first moved in, but then afterwards, something very strange. When they first came back to look at the paintings, the first thing Amber said when she walked in was, hey, sorry if we disturbed you last night with all the yelling. And I was like, this is a 1930s building. I can't hear anything. So, Ben, so you hadn't heard any yelling? Isaac, no, again, the walls are super thick, it's a 1930s building. It's so around 3 months in, I want to say 2 that they moved in because I was already, Ben, Isaac, a month there. So it's been 2 months. The second month they were living there, give or take, Johnny knocks on my door and he ends up coming in and he looked like he was crying and looked distraught. I was like, dude, what's happening? What's going on? He comes in, he sits down and he proceeds to tell me, he says, I don't know what to do with her. I don't know. What should I do? I said, what are you talking about? And he just goes, she wants to argue all the time and she hits. And I was like, what do you mean she hits? What kind of hitting? And she says that he says that she punches, saying that, she wants to argue and she punches me and I'm not going to hit her, And of course, he goes, I'm not going to go hit her. So I just let her punch me until she gets it out, and saying, I don't know what to do. And at that point, it was like, you know what? I don't know what to do, say really accept and try, make him feel better and stuff. And so it was like, dude, just because, relationships, there's nothing written in stone that a relationship has to last forever. If you guys aren't getting along, if you guys, it's you guys are pressing each other's buttons and stuff. And, you can break up. You could leave, So, oh my God, Isaac and So, there's nothing written in stone. A nice relationship is one where people, a nice relationship is where people bring out the best in each other, and if she's like, and I says, you don't have to stay in the relationship. Nothing is written in stone. So Ben cuts him off. He's like, how did he respond to you? Mr. Quinn, Mr. Chu, before you go on, I move to strike the portion of the answer recounting Mr. Depp's statements on the grounds of hearsay. Ben Chu, how did he respond? That's one of the objections. Isaac, right. Ben, we'll bicker back and forth. Isaac, okay. Ben, but you can. Isaac, okay. Ben, ignore that for the most part. Isaac, yeah. Ben, so how did he respond when you told him that relationships don't have to be forever? Isaac, he says, I want it to work out. I love the girl. I don't know what to do. I really love her. And I don't know, I don't know what to do. And I say, I'm not going to hit. And I'm not going to hit her, Ben, was there any? Mr. Quinn, move to strike that on the same basis? Ben Chu, Was there any other time after that Johnny made a similar complaint about being hit by Amber? Mr. Quinn, objection to leading. Isaac, no, but he left, he would leave from arguing because it would drive him bananas, Ben Chew. Did it come a time when he eventually left Penthouse 3 permanently? Isaac, well, there was a couple of there was like 2-3 times that he left and then came back. So it's like, who could say if it's permanent or not? Although after May 21st, I saw him May 22nd. I saw him Sunday, May 22nd. And at that point, it was like, you can't go back. He was like, yeah, there's no going back there. But he, the lucky thing for him was that when she would be that overwhelming and he can leave. Ben, where would he go if Isaac, up to on Switzer. Ben, and that's where he had his compound of houses? Isaac, yeah. Ben, and we'll get to the events of May 21st, but after May 21st, between May 21st, 2016, the time that you left Penthouse 2 in October 2016, did he ever come back to live at Penthouse 3 with Amber? Isaac, no. Ben, but Amber stayed on, right? She stayed on after Johnny left in the evening of May 21st? Isaac, yeah. Ben, and Amber was the one throughout the rest of the period when you were living in Penthouse 2 up through October 2016. Isaac, yes. She was there and Rocky and Josh, although I think they moved like just a little while before, a month or two before I did. And then who was there was Amber, and then sometimes I'd see Elon Musk there. And then other times I would see Cara Delevingne. Sorry, I always say her name wrong. Model girl, right? Ben, okay, let's unpack that, which is a terrible lawyer cliche, which means let's break it down. You said you saw Elon Musk at the Eastern Columbia building? Isaac, yes. Ben, do you recall when the first time you saw Mr. Musk at the building? Isaac, date-wise? Ben, if you can. Isaac, yeah, no. Ben, was it, if you remember otherwise, as we said, don't speculate, but if you remember, did you first see Mr. Musk at the building before May 21st or after May 21st? Isaac, no, after. Ben, again. Isaac, I saw him twice. Ben, don't speculate. Okay. Isaac, saw him twice after. Once coming out of the elevator, two, I was leaving and he was coming off the elevator to go to the apartment or wherever. And the next time I saw him was one morning I woke up and looked out. I was looking out of the windows of my bedroom in the back patio, looking out, and he was walking. He was coming from the Amber and Johnny's joint, walking on the back patio, Ben, he was Isaac, like, I guess, walking, whatever, doing, I don't know, maybe he was going to the gym or maybe he was going swimming or something like that. Ben, what time of morning was it? Isaac, morning, before noon. Oh, God. That's the best answer. Ben, was it your understanding that he'd spent the night at Penthouse 3? Isaac, oh. Mr. Quinn, objection, leading, calls for speculation. Isaac, it was morning, I remember. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was wearing sweats and he didn't have his hair greased back. So it was like, yeah, he was all curly head. Like if someone who, was getting up, just got up, and had their coffee and like, oh, I'm going to go take a stroll on the roof, because we lived on the roof. Ben, do you have Mr. Quinn, move to strike that last testimony. Ben Chu, do you have a ballpark of how long after this morning sighting occurred? How long after May 21st? Mr. Quinn, objection, he's already said he doesn't remember. Ben Chu, do you know how long after? Do you know the approximate date? Isaac, I'd say it's probably, I want to say maybe within a month or so, give or take. Yeah, probably. Ben, and Mr. Baruch, you said that there was a time before that when you saw Mr. Musk at the building. Isaac, no, after the 21st, after May 21st, like May and June, somewhere in June or July. Ben, so the first time you saw Mr. Musk, was that within the month of May or after? Mr. Quinn, objection, leading, he said he doesn't remember. Isaac, no, actually, I do remember. It's not in May, it's after May. It's, somewhere June or July. Ben, what about I'm mispronouncing? Isaac, I'm thinking. So, Ben, I'm mispronouncing her name. What about Cara? We're all mispronouncing her name, Ben, it's fine. We're just going to call her Cara. Who is she? Isaac, Cara. So Ben wants to know, who is she? Isaac, a friend of Amber's. Ben, and when did you see her at the building? Isaac, I don't know the date, but it's afterwards. I don't know the exact date. Ben, but it was after May 21st. Isaac, where did you see her? Isaac, but it was after May 21st. Ben, where did you see her specifically? Isaac, I saw her I was coming home in the parking lot, had parked my car, and I had just got home and I was parked next to Amber. Our cars were parked next to each other. So I was getting out and they were coming from inside and hopping in there in her car. Ben, was that the only time you ever saw her at the building? Isaac, yes. Ben, did you ever have any discussions with Josh Chu or Rocky Pennington about the nature of Amber's relationship with Elon Musk? Isaac, no. Ben, did you ever discuss that with Johnny? Isaac, I've talked with Johnny about, Elon Musk. Yeah, he told me that Elon Musk was, sniffing at Amber from the get-go. Ben, and when did that take place? Isaac, oh, I don't remember. I don't know. Ben, do you know who James Franco is? Isaac, yeah, the actor. Ben, have you ever seen him at the building? Isaac, no. Ben, who is Trinity Esparza? Isaac, Trinity is down the Eastern Columbia building. She's the head of security. Ben, in your 3 years, Isaac, downstairs. Ben, plus living at Penthouse 3, did you have many occasions to interact with her? Isaac, oh, yeah. He said, I interacted probably almost every day that she worked. I would think, Ben, was she a nice person? Isaac, oh, absolutely. Ben, was she a truthful person as far as you know? Isaac, absolutely. Ben, did she ever lie to you, to your knowledge? Isaac, no. Ben, how about Alejandro Romero? Do you know him? Isaac, Alex? Ben, Alex, do you know Alex? Isaac, yeah. Ben, who is Alex? Isaac, Alex also works, the concierge. Ben, did you have a lot of interactions with him? Isaac, sure, whenever he worked. Isaac was a social butterfly. Ben, was he a polite person? Isaac, absolutely, yes. Ben, to your knowledge, was he an honest person? Isaac, yeah. Ben, did he ever lie to you? Isaac, no. Ben, who is Cornelius Harrell? Isaac, I don't know. Ben, who is Brandon Patterson? Isaac, I don't know. Ben, who is Io Tillett Wright? Isaac, that's Amber's friend. Ben, did Mr. Wright spend a lot of time at the building? Isaac, she'd come over, I guess, and hang. Yeah, saw her a few times there. Ben, did she ever have any kind of falling out with Mr. Depp? Mr. Quinn, objection, leading foundation. Isaac, I believe so. Ben Chu, and what was your understanding of the falling out? Isaac, oh, I don't know. Ben, well, I don't want to speculate, but you were aware that there was some kind of falling out? Isaac, oh yeah. Ben, do you recall whether it was involved something to do with Lily Rose? Mr. Quinn, objection, leading. Ben, Johnny's daughter. Isaac, that's right. She ended up right. That's what he was pissed at. That's what Johnny was pissed at, Io had talked Lily Rose into doing the photograph book thing and taking a picture without, and that she was underage or whatever, and that, yes. That's what he was pissed at with her, right? Okay, I remember that. Ben, do you recall how old Lily was at the time? Isaac, no. Ben, who is Sean Bett? Isaac, Sean is one of the security guys. Ben, when you say one of the security guys, do you mean one of Johnny's security guys? Isaac, yes, one of Johnny's securities, yeah. Ben, do you know anything about Sean's professional background when he did? Isaac, no. Ben, before he became one of Johnny's security guards? Isaac, I'm sorry, I didn't let you finish the question. Yeah, no. Ben, did you have any interactions with Sean? Isaac, so, not really. I mean, no, Ben, did you? Isaac, yeah, I will. If I go up to Johnny's house and if Johnny is home and stuff, yeah, maybe Sean might be someone who is at the gate or, greets me at the gate or, or that kind of thing. But Ben, what about Jerry Judge? Do you know him? Isaac, yes. Jerry Judge was the night I walked over when I went over to Johnny's house, and Amber and him are having an argument on the phone, and where he was like trying to, let's end this. And she kept calling back and taunting him. And then when that phone call finally ended, when I told her, hey, enough of this, and hung up the phone, then afterwards, Jerry actually was there that night and came into the apartment and hung out and stayed at the apartment with Johnny because I was going to leave. Ben, Mr. Baruch, if you refer to an incident on May 21st, 2016, Isaac, Say that again. Ben, you mentioned earlier today an incident on May 21st, 2016. Isaac, yeah. Ben, in which Miss Heard alleges that Mr. Depp physically abused her. Are you aware of the allegation? Isaac, yep. Ben, where were you on the evening of May 21st, 2016? Isaac, all right. So I was out in the street. A buddy of mine calls me and he asked me if I want to go out and eat. And I says, I just ate. Just meet me. Let's just meet at the apartment. Let's go hang out. So I met him at my apartment, probably, I want to say around 9:30 or a little bit later. I don't know. Yeah. Between 9:30 and 10. And that ends up, so he meets me. We go up and we go upstairs. This is a Saturday night, May 21st, and go upstairs. Get out of the elevator. When we got out of the elevator, so when you get out of the elevator, then you go to the left and then you're going through a hallway, and that's the shoehorn hallway. And then there's, penthouse 1, and then there's 543. And then you've got to go all the way around the corner to the one I'm staying at in penthouse 2. So as soon as we got to enter the hallway, there's a sconce on the wall. The sconce was broken. There was broken glass. I'm going, whoa, someone's got to clean that up. Go through the hallway, and right in front of the penthouse 1, there's a big spill of wine, spilled wine, and on the wall, wine and a busted glass. And we stopped. And I says, holy shit, look like someone's probably hammered. Maybe they had a party or something like that, because that wasn't out of the ordinary from penthouse 1. Rocky's having a party or something like that, and drank and boozing it. Ben, tell us about what time this is again. Isaac, I want to say probably between 9:30 and 10, probably closer to 9:30, 9:40, let's say. And I stopped there and we're looking at this and I'm going, hey, somebody is hammered, and we start right in front, and we're standing right in front of penthouse 1. That's when, that's where the spill is. And I'm saying this, and all of a sudden the door opens up and it's Josh, and he's got the door closed where he's just poking his head out. And I said, dude, what's up? And I said, someone's getting drunk or what? And he says, we had a rough night. And I got serious, and I went from joking, I got serious because I thought a rough night. I says, what's up? Do you need help? You want me to help you? And he says, no, we've got it handled. And I said, okay. And he closed the door, and me and my buddy, we ended up going to the penthouse 2, my apartment, hung out or whatever. And that was that. The next day was my birthday. It's May 22nd. I ended up texting Johnny and saying, hey, listen, I'm going to come up to Hollywood. I want to have a beer and stuff, and hang out and see you. And that's what I was doing. The plan for the day. So May, I get ready, I go, and I walk out of my apartment, and it's probably, I want to say, I don't know, it's probably around noon, something like that. I walk out of my apartment, I go around the corner, and in front of penthouse 1, where the wine spill was, is Amber, a guy who's dressed in black, who's all in black, a security guy who I found out is a private security guy, and 2 guys that are changing the locks. Locksmiths that are changing the locks on the door, lock on the door. And Josh is in the door, in the apartment, in the doorway, and Rocky is, doing stuff in the apartment. The door is open. They were working on the 2 locksmiths are working on the door. It's open. And I walk up and go, hey, what's up? What's going on what's going on here? And Amber says, Johnny came by last night and he got violent, and so we're changing the locks. And I said, what? What are you talking about? What happened? And at that point, and right then, Josh gave me the high sign, come, to come. I'll tell you the story. He had walked out and gave me hey, come on, let's go. And we walked back to my apartment. And he ends up saying to me, I said, what the hell's going on? What happened? And he goes, Johnny came by last night, went into penthouse 5, and that he was drunk, and he started wrecking, saw the stuff, Rocky's beads, saw all of Rocky's beads and stuff, and it was I started trashing everything. And he said he wanted everyone to get out. He wanted everyone to move out. And then at that, he also got violent with Amber, and he hit her. And I'm looking at him and I'm saying, really? This is unbelievable, I'm amazed, not amazed, but I'm surprised. And I'm thinking to myself, because he says Johnny wants him out, told him to leave. I says, I'm looking at him and I go, wow, this is a crazy story. When are you leaving? Because he says, well, I'm going to stay because Amber, just to protect Amber in case Johnny comes back. And I was really going through my head is that, guys, you're living in this guy's house, in this guy's home. If he asks you to leave, how are you not going to leave? This guy just lets you live there for who knows how long. It's his property, his house. Though that was kind of strange to me. And that also, just the whole thing was like not kosher. Didn't seem kosher. Ben, let's go back to May 21st. You said you went into your apartment after you spoke with Mr. Drew, correct? You went into going back to the night of the penthouse. Isaac, yeah. Ben, 3. Isaac, when I looked at the wine, spilt wine, and he opened up the door, and so that way I couldn't, held it tight. You just poke your head out, so I couldn't see what was inside the apartment, which that is out of the ordinary. Ben, right? Isaac, so that was something. I mean, I'm here. I just, I know all these people, to be, it was kind of something secretive. Ben, did you? Isaac, Ben, did you see on the night of May 21st, did you see Mr. Depp hit Amber Heard? Isaac, no. Ben, did you see Mr. Depp throw a phone at her? Isaac, no. Ben, did you see Mr. Depp commit any acts of violence against Miss Heard that night? Isaac, no, I didn't. I didn't see Johnny at all. Ben, did you? Isaac, I had no idea he was even there. Ben, did you speak to any police that night? Isaac, no. Ben, did you hear Miss Heard shout or scream that night? Isaac, no. Ben, did you hear Mr. Depp or did you hear Johnny shout or scream that night? Isaac, no. Ben, okay, so you didn't see Miss Heard at all in the night? Isaac, I had no clue about anyone else being home except for Josh, and then probably Rocky because they live together. So when he poked his head out of the door and he says, yeah, we had a rough night, I'm like, hey, is someone sick, thinking maybe it's Rocky or something like that, you need some help with something. Because, and that's the only thing that I was thinking, because that's the only people that, I, Josh, and Rocky live in Penthouse 1, and I had no clue who was home in Penthouse 3. There's times that where I would knock on, that I would have to go, knock on the door, and meanwhile, they're gone for who knows, they might have been gone for a week, and I know no clue, oh my God, Isaac, oh, Ben, so let's move to your birthday, May 22nd. You said you saw, Isaac, can I? Ben, of course. Isaac, can I go smoke? Ben, oh, just say you need a break. You don't have to tell us what to do, why you're doing it. Just say you want to take a break. Isaac, okay, please. Ben, how long would you like to take? Isaac, oh, I don't know. How long does it take to smoke a cigarette? Ben, take as long as you want. Mr. Brooke, off the record. So they went off the record, and then they're back on. Ben, good morning again, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, good morning again to you. Ben, thank you. When we left off, we were talking about your birthday, May 22nd. Isaac, May 22nd. Ben, and specifically, I believe you testified, and correct me if I'm wrong, is you saw Miss Heard that day? Isaac, yes. Ben, did you have occasion to look at her face? Isaac, yes. Ben, did you notice any discoloration on her face? Isaac, nothing. Ben, did you? Isaac, no. Ben, did you notice any puffiness on her face? Isaac, no. Ben, did you notice any redness on her face? Isaac, no. Ben, did you notice any apparent injuries that you could see? Isaac, none whatsoever. Ben, did you see Miss Heard the next day on May 23rd, the day after your birthday? Isaac, Monday? Yes. Ben, did you see any signs of injury on her face that day? Isaac, no. Ben, any redness? Isaac, no. Ben, any puffiness? Isaac, no. Ben, any swelling? Isaac, no. Ben, did you have any conversations with Miss Heard that day on the 23rd? Isaac, yeah. I also conversed with her on the 22nd. Ben, let's go back to that then. Let's keep it in order. The 22nd. So Isaac, the 22nd, from what I was saying before, I was going into Hollywood and hang out with Johnny, so I got out of the apartment, I walk through the hallway, in front of Penthouse 1 is a bunch of people, and I said, hey, what's going on? And what was going on was there was Amber, there was a guy who was a security guy, there was two people who were locksmiths in the process of changing locks, and there was Josh Drew, who was in the apartment by the door. And then Rocky was in the apartment doing stuff. And I said, hey, what's going on? And they said, we're changing the locks. Amber says, I'm changing the locks. Johnny came by here last night. He got violent and he hit me, and that I'm changing the locks. And I was surprised. I ended up saying, hey, what's going on? I was surprised. What, And at that point, Josh gave me a high signal like, hey, come on over. He walked out of the apartment and gave me the high sign like, come on, follow me. And we walked back into my apartment. He ended up saying that Johnny came by, wrecked Penthouse 5. He told Rocky and Josh he wanted them out. He wanted them to leave the property, move out. And then Josh also told me that he ended up getting violent with Amber and hit her. Ben, right? Isaac. And I was surprised that, what? And Ben, right. But did you have any specific? I just want to focus on your conversations with Amber. Isaac, yes. Ben, that day. Isaac, so right after that, Ben, what specific conversations with Amber did you have? Isaac, yes. So after that, Josh told me what his story was. Then we walked back out and I was going back to where Amber is, and I look at Amber and I says, he hit you? And she says, yeah, he threw a phone at me, hit me in the face, hit me in the eye. I said, what? And I said, where? And I'm looking at her and she puts her head out, for me to look, this, and this side here, he's demonstrating the right side. And I'm looking and I'm going, I don't see anything, but maybe, and I made a joke because I didn't see anything. I says, well, maybe all the beauty from your one side is outshining anything that's on the other side. And she giggled and she laughed, and then said, all of this sounds, unreal, but not a mark on her. And I'm standing. That's how close I am to her, And when, Ben, and when you said, Isaac, and it's noon, and the door was open and there's lights coming in from there. There's lights in the hallway, everything. There's nothing. I didn't see anything on her, Ben. So when you said she pushed one side of her face, Isaac, yeah. Ben, towards you, was that the right side? Isaac, yes. And because I was like, he hit you with he hit you, so where? And it's like, she goes, and he's demonstrating like this, puts out a face like this for me to look at her right eye. And I said, I don't see anything. I don't, I'm looking, I'm going, I don't see anything. But could be all the beauty from a right side of your face outshining everything else on the left, Ben, did you have any conversations with her that day? Isaac, that day? Ben, yes. Isaac, no. So, Ben, let's go to the next day. We'll take it day by day if that's okay, because it's easier to put in kind of, Isaac, okay. Ben, so you've already testified about not seeing any marks on her the next day, May 23rd. Isaac, on May 23rd, so May 23rd was a movie premiere, Johnny's movie premiere, which I was going to. I woke up that day and I was getting like a chest cold. I wasn't feeling that well, just I could tell, all right, I was getting a little something. And at some point, maybe it was like, I want to say early afternoon or maybe like around 1 o'clock or something like that, I got a knock on the door. I go downstairs and it's Amber and she's standing in my doorway. And I go, hey, what's up? And she says to me, listen, I've got to go and do something and I'm not going to be here. I have to go for an appointment. Can you take the key and let the cleaning lady in? And I says, no, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm not feeling good. I'm not going to, I'm going back to, I'm going to lay down for, and I'm not going to be paying mine to, let the cleaning lady in. And then so I said, hey, why don't you take it downstairs to Alex, the concierge, whoever is down there, Trinity, Alex, or whoever is down there, and give him the key. And she was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that then. It was like, oh, drag or whatever, And I saw her there, no marks, nothing, standing right there, open, at the doors open. And I'm right at where, sunlight is all over the place, no mark. Ben, was that the only conversation you had with her that day on May 23rd? Isaac, yeah. Ben, and do you remember the name of the movie that there was a premiere for? Isaac, oh, it's the second Alice in the Wonderland. And I don't know what the exact name of the movie, but that, Mad Hatter, where Johnny does Mad Hatter. Ben, and after that brief discussion on May 23rd, when you had the cold, did you see any time later in the day? Isaac, on Monday? Ben, on Monday. Isaac, on that day? Ben, yeah. Isaac, no. Ben, what about Tuesday, May 24th? Do you remember seeing Amber that day? Isaac, Tuesday, I want to say it's either Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'm going to say Tuesday. I ended up going downstairs to the cafe to get tea. I had, I still needed to go shopping or whatever, to deal with any kind of remedy or whatever for how I was feeling. So I went downstairs to go to the cafe. Well, I walk out my door and close the door. Who's in the hallway is that we're going to enter penthouse 3, and they're going to enter penthouse 3 is Amber, Whitney, the French girl. I forget her name, French girl. She's a makeup artist with tattoos. I had dinner actually with her and her partner at Johnny's place one night. Her, and there was around 5 women. I remember there was a tallish woman. She had a trench coat on, like if rain type of beige wrinkle. Anyway, with 5 women, 4 or 5 women there that were going to enter. And as soon as I walked out the door, Whitney was like, hey, being, cheerful or what, seeing me. I hadn't seen her for a bit. And so she comes running over to give me a hug. And I was like, stop, don't, I'm feeling sick. I'm just feeling bad. You might get sick or whatever. And everyone starts laughing. And I'm looking, got to see everyone. And I walked out and I got downstairs and was downstairs for like around, an hour and change, something like that. An hour, sitting and drinking tea. And then when I walk back up, all these women are walking through the hallway again. And me and Amber, it's like, hey, okay, and I get to see Amber again, and no marks upstairs on her face. And downstairs when we're passing, no marks on her face. And she was, going out like it's another day. Ben, Mr. Baruch, to the best of your knowledge, this was either on Tuesday, May 24th or Wednesday, May 25th. Isaac, Tuesday, May. It's the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, Tuesday the 24th or Wednesday the 25th. I want to say it was Tuesday the 24th. Ben, and just backing up from that particular time period, do you know whether Amber Heard, during the period when you lived in Penthouse 2, did she generally wear makeup? Isaac, no, she had, she's got great skin. Both her and Rocky are like, regular natural Texas girls, girls next door type of complexions. No makeup. She didn't wear makeup in the house. I'd seen her with, wearing a face mask and that, she just really had nice skin. Ben, did she seem to be wearing makeup on your birthday, May 22nd, Monday? Isaac, May 22nd, no, because this was like around noon and stuff. Who knows what the time they got up or whatever. This was like, this was still going semi-morning stuff or whatever, it's around that time, and they're dealing with the locksmiths and stuff. No, very, very, very natural. Yeah, Ben did. Isaac, it wasn't like she was hanging out. I'm going to start taking out the because they're exhausting me. Isaac, I don't know how you do it. Ben, did she? Isaac, and she was hanging around the house. She never wore makeup. Ben, did she? Isaac, that I noticed. Ben, did she appear to be wearing makeup on the 23rd, which is Monday? Isaac, no. Ben, did she appear to be wearing makeup during that encounter you just described that occurred on Tuesday, May 24th or Wednesday, May 25th? Did she appear to be wearing makeup when you saw her with the other ladies? Isaac, no. Ben, okay, let's move ahead to Thursday, May 26th. Did you see Amber that day? Isaac, no. Wednesday, on the 25th, I saw her. Sunday, the 22nd, Monday, the 23rd, Tuesday, the 24th, and then Wednesday, I finally went down, go to the shop to buy myself stuff to take care of myself. And when I went to get stuff and came, when I was coming back with my groceries from Ralph's, in between the parking lot and the building, there was a small, not a hallway, a room where there's another elevator, and it's interim room going into from the parking lot, going from into the apartment, you need a security fob. Ben's like, Isaac, to a fob, right? So they're going on about a fob. Isaac, a fob, not a fob. It's been so long since I've used it or whatever. I forgot what it's called. Fob. Isn't that the same word? Anyway, I'm coming home and they're exiting the building. So we stopped right there. And I say it was Amber, Whitney, both. And they were like, oh, how are you feeling and stuff? And I said, good, better. But I went to buy myself some stuff. And they said, well, do you want us to pick you up anything? We're going to CVS. Isaac, the drugstore. Ben's like, yeah. Isaac. And I said, no, I've got everything, but we're like this. And he's demonstrating no marks, no nothing. Ben, how about makeup? Does she look like she was wearing makeup? Isaac, no. So you know something? The only makeup wise, she didn't wear makeup around the house. She didn't need to. She was totally natural, around the house. And both Rocky and Amber were like, all natural of complexions and stuff. No, there was no makeup. Ben, what was the only time you saw Amber Heard that day? Was that the only time you saw Amber Heard that day on Wednesday the 25th? Isaac, I believe so. Yes. Ben, what about Thursday, May 26th? Did you see her that day? Isaac, no. From that point on, I didn't see her again until I think it was like the first week of June somewhere, maybe the end of the week of the first week of June. And mind you that I have no clue. I'm clueless as to actually what's going on with her and Johnny. For me, it was like from the Sunday, they got into the argument and that it was, okay, they're in an argument. And so I don't know what's going on. I didn't see any pictures or anything like that on the internet. I'm unaware of anything that she's proposing. I hadn't seen any pictures or anything like that. So I have no clue until the week after. And all of a sudden I'm seeing, I think maybe it was after June 1st, at the end of there, somewhere in the week of the first week of June. And all of a sudden on the internet, I started seeing pictures and I'm going, what the hell is this? Where did this come from? And I just saw her. I saw her Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's nothing, nada. There was not a mark on this woman. And I said, where the hell did this come from? These pictures, something. And then I'm going, oh my God, what's her name was there? The French girl who's the makeup artist. And I'm walking and going, oh my God, this is all phony baloney. This is all like, like a house of cards on, house of cards on a foundation of lies, of BS. Ben, when you say photographs, are you, Mr. Quinn, pardon me, Mr. Chu, I'll move to strike that testimony as non-responsive, lack of personal knowledge, speculation. Ben Chu, when you say photographs, are you referring to purported photographs of Miss Heard with injuries, purportedly showing injuries on her face? Isaac, yes. All of a sudden I see photographs of her with a mark of whatever on May 27th. This 27th. I said, what did she do? Did she smack herself? And then seeing also the photograph, I think it was after June 1st from People magazine or whatever, all of a sudden that was on the internet. And I saw pictures of a phone marking and she didn't have that on Sunday. I saw her in the hallway and I saw her in the hallway. We're talking like this and she even put her face out to me and I didn't see, there was nothing. Ben, did you believe that? Mr. Quinn, move on to strike on the same grounds. Ben, did you believe that Mr. Depp was responsible for hitting Miss Heard? Mr. Quinn, objection. Isaac, no, but I will tell you this. When I went over to his house that day on Sunday, May 22nd, I went there and I said, hey, John, they're changing the locks on the place down there. And she said that you hit her. What's up? And he says to me, I tossed the phone on the couch that was nowhere near her. And she started screaming bloody murder. And then I left afterwards. He says, I didn't hit her. Ben, do you believe him? Mr. Quinn, move to strike. Isaac, absolutely. Mr. Quinn, on the grounds. Isaac, he told me that when she was screaming bloody murder, he was standing in the kitchen. From the kitchen to where the couch is, he said she was sitting on the couch and he said that he tossed the phone he tossed the phone onto the couch, but it was nowhere near where she was. Mr. Quinn, move to strike, hearsay, improper opinion. Ben, let me move on. You had said that the next time you saw Amber was in early June. Tell us about what happened when you saw her in early June. Isaac, oh, so then the next time I saw her after that, with her and Whitney I was coming home, she was leaving. The next time I saw Amber was like around, I want to say like a week and a half later, almost close to 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks. And it must have been something like around 11 o'clock at night. And now at that point also, I saw all of the stuff that was on the internet. Pictures, and she knocks on my door at 11 o'clock. And me, natural reaction, I open the door. Whoever it is, hey, how you going? And I opened the door and I was like, how you doing? And she goes, I'm not doing so well and that I made some food. Do you want to come over and eat? And I looked at her and I was like, and I says to her, listen, Amber, I just saw all of this stuff on the internet, all these pictures and stuff of what's going on. And let me tell you something. I'm very confused. I'm frustrated and I'm angry about what's going on. I don't think we should talk anymore is really what I think should be. It is what, I think. And she looks at me and she kind of did a double take and says, she ends up saying, listen, I told Johnny I don't want anything from Johnny, that the lawyers are making me do all this. And when after, as soon as she said that, I kind of went like this, went berserko in my head a little bit. And I kind of stopped listening to her because all I could think was, how stupid does she think that I am? How stupid does she actually, how much does she not respect me? Or how stupid does she think I am? That I'm going to believe any of this. And she should be surprised and stuff. And I stopped listening to her because I was so in my head. Ben, what further? Mr. Quinn, pardon me, Mr. Chu, move to strike hearsay improper opinion narrative. Ben, what further conversation was there? Or is that all that you can remember? Isaac, no, that was it. I said, listen, we're not going to talk anymore. And she says, listen, I told Johnny, she tried to explain herself. She says, I told Johnny I don't want anything, but the lawyers are making me do all this. But then she started talking some more. And like I said, I kind of phased her out and then came to, and she said, I'm sorry you feel that way. And I closed the door on her. Ben, you didn't, did you? Mr. Quinn, move to strike on the same grounds. Ben Chu, did you slam the door or did you just close the door? Isaac, I said bye-bye and I closed the door. Ben, did you ever speak with her any time after that? Isaac, no. The next time I saw her, I'll tell you what, after that conversation, no one talked to me. Amber didn't talk to me. I'm not going to talk to her. I wasn't going to talk to her anymore after everything that I just saw. I wasn't going to say anything to her. I didn't want to have anything to do with her. Saying, how are you doing to that? No. How are you doing to that? How are you going to do that? That she didn't talk to me. Rocky didn't talk to me. Josh didn't talk to me. None of them talked to me. That was it. Ben, prior to Amber coming to the door that night, have you still been in communication with Rocky? Isaac, before that? Ben, yes. Isaac, yeah, if I saw her. Ben, and before that, were you still in communication speaking terms with Josh Drew? Isaac, yeah. Ben, so it changed after Amber came to the door that night? Isaac, oh yeah, as soon as that, after that conversation, that was it. Those three, they weren't, I wasn't buying their bullshit. So, that was it. Ben, and when, Mr. Quinn, moved to strike that testimony? Ben, and when she came to the door that night, did she appear to have any marks on her face? Isaac, on the night of, where she asked me to come over and eat? Ben, yes. Isaac, no. Ben, no puffiness? Isaac, no, nothing. Ben, no swelling? Isaac, nothing. Ben, did she? Isaac, she never had a mark on her face the entire time that I saw her. May 22nd till, whatever time after. Ben, what about makeup on the evening she came to you? Isaac, no, it was. Ben, no, I'm sorry. It's very difficult, but Isaac, I'm sorry. Ben, and I need to be better at not interrupting you, but Isaac, I'm sorry, I interrupted you. Ben, no, that's what I've been doing to you, so I apologize. But on the evening that she came to you at 11 a.m., did she appear to be wearing any makeup? Isaac, no. Ben, switching gears a little bit, earlier today you identified Trinity Esparza, correct? Isaac, yeah. Ben, did Trinity ever show you CCTV video? Did Trinity ever show you a CCTV video from the day after May 21st, which showed Amber and her younger sister Whitney? Isaac, yes. Ben, when did that happen? Isaac, that was a couple of weeks after, I want to say in June at some point, when all of this hoopla started. It was in June, I want to say maybe second week of June, something like that. At that point, everyone in the place was going, everyone in the place was saying, I've been seeing her walking around, and that nothing. She's got no marks and stuff. And so one particular day, like I was a couple of weeks into June, Trinity showed me, says, Isaac, look at this. And it's Amber and Whitney in front of the elevator waiting for the elevator. And Amber is leaning against the elevator and Whitney is in front of her. And Whitney does one of these, like a fake punch to her sister. And they both are cracking up. And I'm going, this is so insane. All of it is so insane. Ben, how did you interpret Mr. Quinn? Pardon me, Mr. Chu, moved to strike on the grounds of hearsay, lack of foundation, and I'd like to note again for the record that none of these videos have been produced. Ben Chu, how did you interpret that pantomime punch from Isaac? Oh. Ben, Whitney to Amber. Isaac, how did I interpret it? Ben, yes. Isaac, this is one huge hoax. This is one huge, like I said before, it's a house of cards sitting on top of a foundation of lies from the get-go. Mr. Quinn, move to strike that testimony as well. Improper opinion, lack of foundation. Ben Chu. Mr. Baruch, have you seen any other CCTV video, security videos from the building? Isaac, no. That's the only one I saw. That's the only one I saw. And that, yeah, it looked to me like whatever they said was, what happened, whatever Amber said happened, this was a sign that it wasn't anything as severe or serious as made out to be. Mr. Quinn, move to strike on that as well. Improper opinion, lack of foundation. Ben, Mr. Baruch, we're almost through. Isaac, okay. Ben, and I appreciate it. I know this is your first time you've ever given a deposition. Isaac, this is the first time I've ever given a deposition, yes. Ben, well, you're doing a great job. Isaac, okay. Ben, I have 3 documents to show you, and I'm going to try and ask you some more focused questions. I mean, you can focus on the specific question. That would be terrific, and we'll get you out of here. Although there will be some other examination. Let's mark this. This is a document that I'm going to show you, and I would recommend that with respect to this document and any other documents that I show you or Ms. Heard's counsel show you, you take the time to read as much of it as you want to so you don't feel like you're ambushed or someone is asking you a question about a comma and the middle of a longer document. Isaac, okay. Ben, there are only 3 documents, so I won't slow you down to read it. Isaac, okay. Ben Chu, but if we could please mark for the identification. Okay, so it was marked Exhibit 1. Ben, and I want to give you a time. Isaac just asked if he should read it. Ben said, yes, please take your time and read it. And while you're reading it, it will just note for the record that Baruch Exhibit 1 purports to be a declaration of Mr. Baruch, 2 pages in length, 7 pages. Mr. Baruch, so Isaac reads it. Mr. Baruch, I'm going to ask you to repeat your testimony. Believe me, I just have a couple of questions about this document, very specific documents. On the second page of the document, above, do you see your name typed in Isaac Baruch? Do you see in raised type letter Isaac Baruch at the very bottom? Isaac, and at the bottom? Ben, yes. Isaac, yeah. Ben, is that your signature? Isaac, yeah. Ben, did you in fact sign this declaration? Isaac, yeah. Ben, do you recall when you signed it? Isaac, I signed it January 21st, 2019. Ben, and putting, Isaac, but this? Ben, and we'll just go question and answer. Putting aside when you signed it, do you know when you created this declaration? Mr. Quinn, objection assumes facts, not on evidence. Ben Chu, is this your statement? Isaac, yeah, I wrote this. This is going back from 2016. Ben, did you write it in 2016 or did you write it in 2019? Mr. Quinn, objection leading assumes facts, not on evidence. Isaac, I wrote this in 2016. In fact, the only time I ever wrote any declaration was in 2016, and that what I had written was even longer, and that in the process of, having it, typed it, to the lawyer, and that was Johnny's lawyer back then, whoever it was, it's, this is what I did. Yeah. Ben, did you make the statement in the context of the divorce between Amber and Johnny? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, objection. Ben Chu, and is that why, if you look at the bottom of the pages, page 1 and 2, it says Marriage of Depp, Los Angeles, case number such and such? Isaac, yeah, this wrote the whole thing. I wrote, the entire declaration back then and brought it was on Sunset, whatever the law firm that he was using was on Sunset. And yeah. Isaac, and did you make, Ben, and did you make Isaac? And I remember delivering it and crying because I was so angry about everything that was going on. And yeah. Ben, Mr. Baruch, did you make this statement, Baruch Exhibit 1, at the time when you were able to verify its accuracy? Isaac, what do you mean statement? I says I'm over the age of 18. Ben, no, this is Baruch 1. Your declaration is called Baruch Exhibit 1. So my question is, oh, Isaac, he's like, I thought it was paragraph 1. So sorry. Ben, sorry, my mistake. Did you make this statement with declaration Baruch Exhibit 1? Isaac, yeah. Ben, at the time when you were able to verify its accuracy? Isaac, yeah. Ben, and the events you were describing in this declaration, Baruch Exhibit 1, had occurred very shortly before you wrote the declaration, correct? Isaac, yeah. Ben, okay, and to your knowledge, sitting here today, do you believe that what you testified here is true and accurate? Isaac, absolutely. Ben, okay, we're going to show you a different document now. We're going to call it Baruch Exhibit 2. Ben, so if we could please mark that, they mark it. Isaac just said it might take a little bit longer to read. Ben, exactly. I'd like you to take as long as you need because I'm only going to show you one other document after this. So we've got plenty of time. Just read it to yourself and let us know when you're ready. Okay, so Isaac's ready. Ben, Mr. Baruch, again, I'm not going to ask you to restate your testimony. I just have a couple of questions about this declaration we've been called Baruch number 2. Isaac, okay. Ben, directing your attention to the signature line above your name. Isaac, yeah. Ben, is that your signature? Isaac, yeah, it is. Ben, did you sign this declaration, Baruch number 2? Isaac, yeah. Ben, and when did you sign it? Isaac, it says here January 21st, but this was part of the original declaration that because there was stuff that was duplicated, there was a couple of things. This thing about the drugstore where it was said twice. I think that was duplicated. And this was like a copy of that part of the bigger declaration that I made that the lawyers then sent back to me, after they made changes or whatever for me to proofread and stuff. And it was like, no, you've got to make changes here, here, and here. And then when they sent back another one, it says, no, this is not right, and then send, and then we kept doing that till it was like, finally, hey, yeah, okay, I'm okay with this because everything here, this is all true, sure. Ben, so it's your testimony that you made the statement back in June of 2016? Isaac, yeah. Ben, is everything in Baruch 2 true and accurate to the best of your knowledge? Isaac, yeah, except for there's, something where it says the last time I saw Amber was on June 3rd. I could have. Do you know what day that was? Is that supposed to be? It's Friday. Ben, unfortunately, I'm not allowed to help you out. Isaac, oh, sorry. If that's what it is, yeah, because I saw, the 22nd. I could have sworn it was. I'll go along with that, yeah. Ben, other than that, do you see any inaccuracy or potential inaccuracy? Isaac, not really. Ben, do you see there appears to be, and I don't want to, does there appear to be on each page of this document a light marking that appears to say draft? Isaac, yeah. Ben, does that reflect your recollection about the relative timing of Baruch 2 and Baruch 1? Isaac, no. Ben, I just have one more question about Baruch 2. You testified here that you said, I've seen Johnny regularly for the last 37 years with the exception of when I was living out of the state. When were you living out of the state? Isaac, I left in 98 and moved back here in 2002. The end of 2002, October, November 2002. And then when I was living down there in Long Beach, I lived down here in Long Beach for 3 years. Ben, do you recall which years those were? Isaac, yeah, 2007 to 8, 2008 to 9, and 2009 to 10. I graduated 2010, then moved back up to Hollywood. So those 3 years, it pretty much was, just down here. Ben, and switching subjects for a moment, Isaac, which could feel like it's being in another state, but Ben, switching gears, Mr. Baruch, do you recall as of April 2016, did Amber and Johnny have any dogs? Isaac, say that again? Ben, as of April 2016, when you were all living together at the Eastern Columbia building, did Johnny and Amber ever have dogs? Isaac, yeah, 2 dogs. Ben, what type of dogs? Isaac, Pistol and Boo, little teacup. Pistol and Boo, 2 baby schnauzers. I don't know what they were. They were tiny dogs. Ben, how many? Isaac, they were tiny dogs. Ben, how many pounds did each of them weigh, if you know? Isaac, the dog was, I don't know, the dog is a pound, not even a pound, It's if a strong wind comes, that's it, the dog is gone. Oh, God. I don't know why I just found that so funny. I'm tired, guys. Ben, as of April 2016, were both dogs able to climb stairs? Isaac, no, they're tiny, on the stairs. What the dog couldn't get on the couch. You've got to lift the dog up to put him on the couch. The dog definitely can't get on like anything higher than maybe had to, not even the stairs, I don't think. Ben, could the dog jump on a bed? Isaac, no, not at all, no. Ben Chu, I have nothing further for now. I may have some questions after Miss Hurst's counsel goes, but I will relinquish the chair. Isaac, okay. Ben Chu, are you hungry now? We have lunch. But Isaac, some? Yeah, let's clip it for now. So then they finished off, and then we're back with Mr. Quinn. Mr. Quinn. Good afternoon, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, good afternoon. Mr. Quinn. Again, my name is John Quinn, and I'm a lawyer at Kaplan Heckler and Finch in New York. I represent Miss Heard. I also want to thank you for being here today, and I'll try to keep this as brief as I can. And as of this morning, I'll try to let you complete your answer before I start my next question. And if you can do likewise, that will keep things easier for the court reporter and the videographer. Isaac, okay. Mr. Quinn, okay, great. Mr. Baruch, you've been close friends with Johnny Depp for decades, right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, I did the math based on the ages that you mentioned this morning. I think it was about 1980, around the time the two of you met. Does that sound right? Isaac, yeah, 79 or 80, yeah. Mr. Quinn, okay, so you've been close friends for about 40 years? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, have you traveled with Johnny? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, have you ever been to his island? Isaac, no. Huh, does anyone else find that odd? Anyway, Mr. Quinn, other than the East Columbia building that we've talked about today, have you ever lived in an apartment owned by Mr. Depp? Isaac, before the Eastern Columbia building? Mr. Quinn, before or after? Yeah, let's do them one at a time. So prior to that, did you ever live in an apartment or other residence that Mr. Depp owned? Isaac, not before. I live in one now. Mr. Quinn, okay, where do you currently live? So he's living at North Sweetser. Mr. Quinn, got it. And is that the same Sweetser Avenue that we referred to this morning? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, okay. Have you lived there since the time that you moved out of the Eastern Columbia building? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, got it. And do you pay any rent at that location currently? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you're a full-time artist, is that right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, do you have any other jobs or sources of income beyond your profession as an artist? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, and painting is your medium, is that right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, I poked around online a little bit. I'm just going to mark this as I want to mark this as Baruch 3. Isaac, bravo. Mr. Quinn, I'm sorry, Baruch 4. Isaac, you're a Renaissance man, a great lawyer, and a patron of the arts as well. Oh, Mr. Quinn, Mr. Baruch, I'm just actually taking one step back. Isaac, did you want that? Oh, is that for her? I don't know what's going on. Mr. Quinn, that's just an extra copy. I can. Isaac, okay. Mr. Quinn, why don't you review that one? Isaac, yeah, I'm good. Mr. Quinn, before we get into the paintings, just one last question on the last subject we were addressing. For how many years now have you lived rent-free in a home or a residence owned by Mr. Depp? Isaac, 6 years. Mr. Quinn, okay, all right, let's take a look at these paintings. I think there are photographs here of 4 pieces of art. Are these all your paintings? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, and the third one on the set? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, appears to be a painting of Donald Trump. Well, I won't even try to describe it, but that painting, that's currently your Facebook profile picture as well? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, is that right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, and if you look at the next photo after that, this is you in the photo, right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, okay. Would you say that this is a representative sample of your work? Do you do other kinds of paintings? How would you? Isaac, yeah, this is a representative of my work. Absolutely. Mr. Quinn, has Mr. Depp ever bought a painting from you or one of your paintings? Isaac, outright no. I borrowed money from him and then gave him a painting. Mr. Quinn, got it. How many times would you say you borrowed money from Mr. Depp? Isaac, oh, multiple times. Mr. Quinn, can you put any kind of number on that? More than 5 times? Isaac, oh yeah. Oh yeah. You want me to? I was invited to live in Johnny's house. I made a painting back in 2012 that Johnny saw. He wanted to buy it. And he says, when I'm back in, when I'm back in California, I want to come and show me paintings. I want to buy it. Well, in the process, when I went over to show him paintings, he says, listen, I want to be a patron, and I'll put on a show for you and go live downtown, and all that, it's a huge place, a studio, go down there and go live and work and put together an art show, put together a series of paintings. So I said, okay. And in the process, also, it was that and also some dough. I was like kind of having a grant, the Johnny Depp grant. Oh, Mr. Quinn, how many paintings would you say you created on a year typically? Isaac, oh, that's all different. It takes different amount of time. Each painting is different. One painting could take 2 months. One painting could take a month. Depends on the size, depends on how many figures are in it, all of that. Mr. Quinn, how long a period was it that you were on the Johnny Depp grant, as you referred it? Isaac, well, from the time till I moved out. Mr. Quinn, until you moved out of the Sweetser, or do you mean? Isaac, yeah, till I got moved to Sweetser. Actually, beforehand, really, if you think about it, because there was a point beforehand that he told me, dude, I'm having, he ended up telling me about his financial situation, at which point I was like, well, then let's, when he told me about his financial situation, for me, what I'm going to do is, the only thing I have to help with him is the paintings. So at that point, I said, listen, because the deal was he was going to put on an art show, and then that's it, and for me to make all the money. And when he told me about his financial situation, I says, well, dude, let's get rid of these paintings, let's sell them, and let's split the money. It's, it's something for you, and, because it's got to be 50-50 thing. I won't see it any other way. So, Mr. Quinn, and when was that? Was that 2012, 2013? What time frame are we talking about? Isaac, oh, geez, something I can't remember. But it was me, him, and Amber hanging out, and Johnny had come downstairs. Me and Amber were hanging out and yapping, and he came down. He told me the situation. He said, dude, you're not going to believe this. And I was like, what? I was amazed, just, surprised. And I said, dude, I take half the money of all the paintings and stuff, because that's the only thing I got. So from that point on, it was like, no matter what, it was like, take 50% of the money, which then Amber said, hey, that's really nice of you to do that. And I said, okay, well, this guy has just supported me. This guy is just giving me a roof over my head for who knows how long. He's giving me money to eat, So I said, I probably borrowed like around $100,000 over a period of 6 years. So, Mr. Gwynn, that was starting back in 2012, 2013. Isaac, March of 2013. Mr. Quinn, and that conversation you described where Johnny came downstairs and told you about his financial situation, did that take place after you moved into the Eastern Columbia building already? You're already there at that point. Isaac, oh yeah, everyone was living there. This was, I want to say 2015. This is after they were married. This is after they got married and like maybe, within a year of them, whatever it was this, they got married. Mr. Quinn, Isaac, probably within a year, all of a sudden that came up. And I was like, well, shit, what do I do? What can I do to help? All I've got is the paintings. Mr. Quinn, what exactly did he tell you about his financial situation? Isaac, he told me that he was told that he was broke. Mr. Quinn, so let me just make sure I've got the timeline here. So in early 2013, Johnny invited you to live in the Eastern Columbia building rent-free and lent you some money? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, with the idea that he would be... Isaac, periodically, when I first got there, it was like, hey, you got everything you need to do this, to start painting and stuff. I had paints, I had canvases, I had brushes, I had an easel. And he says, do you need some dough? And I said, yeah. And he gave me dough. But then I would, it's like, I got a budget. He's not a cash cow. He works for his money. So it's like, what? Isaac, I'm just going to be painting. And what's my overhead? Food, gas. So I would get money, and then I would think maybe the first year I asked him for dough 4 times. Yeah, it was probably like around $20,000 a year. Mr. Quinn, was he your sole source of income at this point? Isaac, at that point? Yeah. Mr. Quinn, and did Johnny ultimately, did you have to the show that you just, Isaac, no, that was a thing. So what happens is this, because he said, hey, he's in a financial bind, or I was told he's broke. So it's like the whole thing got kiboshed. Mr. Gwynn, oh, because there was no money to rent the space or put on the show? Isaac, yeah, right, yeah. I totally got kiboshed. Yeah, exactly. So there was bigger issues on his plate. So it was like, okay, and that's it. Mr. Quinn, is he still your patron? I think you said the word used to today. Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, have you sold pieces of art during that period to other people? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, okay. Oh, how do you communicate with Johnny? Do you text with each other? Have phone calls? What do you do? Isaac, well, he lives up the block, so yeah, I'll either walk up the block or I'll text. Mr. Quinn, ever speak on the phone? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you mentioned earlier a Sunday where you went to meet Johnny for a beer in Hollywood and let him know you were heading to Hollywood and wanted to meet for a beer. How would you typically communicate a message like that? Isaac, text. Mr. Quinn, okay, what about the emails? Do you ever send emails to each other? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, sitting here today, when was the last time you spoke to Johnny? Isaac, I went over to his house on, I don't remember the day, but I don't remember the day. I think maybe it might have been Monday, but it was the day that Jeff Beck was leaving. They had finished a tour and that Johnny texted me and said, hey, come up because Jeff wants to talk about paintings and stuff. He took one of the paintings. He took that one. Mr. Quinn, okay. Did he or Johnny pay you for it? Isaac, oh no, I gifted it to him. Mr. Quinn, I see. Isaac, I gave it to him. Mr. Quinn, and is that just a return for the fact that Mr. Depp continues to provide you with a place to live and money to spend, etc.? Isaac, no, I like Jeff Beck, so I gave him a painting. Mr. Quinn, okay. Isaac, and he liked the painting, made him laugh all the time, so I was like, hey, take it, you can have it. Mr. Quinn, got it. Have you seen Johnny or Mr. Depp drink alcohol? Isaac, sure. Mr. Quinn, what kind of alcohol does he typically drink? Isaac, vodka, I've seen him drink different things at different times. Vodka, wine. Mr. Quinn, anything else? Isaac, Jack Daniels. Mr. Quinn, what about champagne? Isaac, yeah, champagne too. I mean, I drank it also. We both drank all of those. Mr. Quinn, got it. Have you ever seen Mr. Depp drink to excess? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, have you seen him in a state that you would describe him as drunk? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, how many times did you say? Isaac, a couple. Mr. Quinn, what do you mean by a couple? Isaac, definitely without a doubt the conversation that I walked in on where he was talking, where him and Amber were on the phone when she was in New York, and he was definitely drunk there, which is why I was getting pissed off that there was even a conversation going on, because why is she trying to have or saying anything, goading him on that in that situation? Because she's just pressing his buttons, So he was drunk there in that situation. Other times, yeah, maybe at his house. And I was drunk too. Mr. Quinn, I just want to pause on that conversation for a moment. So I think you said earlier or testified earlier that Mr. Depp was accusing Miss Heard of being unfaithful. Is that right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, in that conversation, did he frequently get jealous with her or accuse her of being unfaithful that you saw? Isaac, not that I've seen. Mr. Quinn, did he talk to you about that he thought she might be cheating on him or anything along those lines? Isaac, he brought it up, yeah. Mr. Quinn, what kind of things would he say? Isaac, well, from what I can remember, just that he thinks that, yeah, she's been messing around. Mr. Quinn, ever say anything to you about her doing nude scenes in films or nude photo shoots or? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, wearing revealing clothing? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, just the unfaithfulness was what he talked about to you or his beliefs about it. Isaac, just, yeah. Mr. Quinn, And in your view, it was not a good idea to have any conversation, for her to have any conversation with him at that time when he was drunk, right? Isaac, well, she wasn't adding, it's one of the things if it's no, I didn't think it was a good idea to have any type of conversation, because she was not giving him any, from what I heard, giving him any reassurance. Mr. Quinn, I think you said she kept saying, Johnny, why are you doing this? Right? Calling and saying, why are you doing this? Is that right? Isaac, no. He wasn't calling her. She called him. Mr. Quinn, And she was saying, Isaac, and that she was saying, what's the matter, Johnny? Why are you doing this, Johnny? What's the matter? Mr. Quinn, Isaac, what's going on? No, Isaac, I don't know. Mr. Quinn, right. And I think your testimony earlier was that you were concerned that this wasn't going to be a rational conversation. Isaac, that's right. Mr. Quinn, is that right? Isaac, that's right. Mr. Quinn, what did you mean by that? Isaac, it's not going to be a rational conversation. It's pretty self-explanatory, no? Mr. Quinn, well, did you mean that you thought he might become irrational in part because he was drunk? Ben Chu, objection, calls for speculation. Isaac, no, anytime. Miss Brooke, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt. Are you representing the witness? Ben Chu, I'm representing Mr. Depp. Isaac, any constructive helpful understanding of a conversation, a constructive conversation to where something gets settled and something gets understood. Neither side was going there, So that's why I said this is not a conversation. So Mr. Quinn, rather than calling back again and again, your view was she should have waited until he wasn't drunk to continue that conversation? Isaac, oh yeah, it was totally instigating and goading and completely, yeah. It was instigating, goading, pressing buttons. And I was like, hey, come on. You're not going to do that to someone. You don't do that to someone if you want to have an honest conversation. I agree, Isaac. Mr. Quinn, and not when he's drunk, right? Isaac, that's not good. I would agree with that. Mr. Quinn, okay, I think you said after you ended that conversation, Jerry Judge came into the apartment, then stayed with Johnny after you left. Is that right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, why did anyone have to stay with Johnny? Ben Chu, objection to the form of the question, mischaracterizes the testimony. Isaac, didn't have to, but he stayed. He was hanging. Mr. Quinn, Johnny seemed pretty upset at that point. Isaac, Johnny went to sleep. Mr. Quinn, sorry? Was Jerry hanging out with Johnny or did Johnny go to sleep? I've got my timeline. Isaac, Johnny went to sleep on the couch. He hung out on the couch and he ended up falling asleep. And Jerry hung out watching TV. We hung out, both me and Jerry hung out yapping, and afterwards I said, dude, I'm tired. I've got to go to sleep. So I went home and he stayed sitting on the couch watching TV. Mr. Quinn, was Johnny already asleep? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, by the time you left? Isaac, he fell asleep on the couch. Mr. Quinn, would you describe it as passing out? Isaac, just he went out. Mr. Quinn, have you ever seen Johnny pass out from drinking? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, but you've seen him fall asleep on a couch while other people... Isaac, well, that, yeah, I mean, something. I would say, yeah, he passed out on the couch. Yeah, he passed out. Who among us, drunk or sober, has not passed out on a couch watching TV? Oh my God. Mr. Quinn, did you ever see him throw up from drinking alcohol? Isaac, no. When we were younger, we ended up going to a restaurant. We had a vomiting contest, so I saw him there. We had a pissing contest, the vomiting contest, to see who could piss the furthest, who could vomit. We just finished eating eggs, ham, and sausage and stuff. So it was a place called the Ham and Eggery in North Miami, Florida. That's the only time I think I've ever seen him vomit. Oh my God. Mr. Quinn. Oh, sorry, Miss Brooks. Let's talk about the dogs. Mr. Quinn, has he ever blacked out from drinking to your knowledge? Isaac, I have no clue. Mr. Quinn, did he ever tell you, I don't remember what happened last night? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, did you ever see him in the state where you maybe thought he would have no memory of what was going on? Isaac, nah. Ben Chu, calls for speculation. Isaac, I have no clue. Mr. Quinn, okay, have you ever seen Johnny do drugs? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, which drugs? Isaac, do you consider alcohol a drug? Mr. Quinn, well, we've talked about that one, but we'll count alcohol, sure. Isaac, alcohol, cigarettes. I've seen him smoke cigarettes, marijuana, seen him smoke Mary Jane. Mr. Quinn, how many times approximately? Isaac, oh, I have. Who knows? Mr. Quinn, pretty frequently? Isaac, yeah, pretty, maybe. Mr. Quinn, okay. Isaac, could be. Mr. Quinn, what about whitey stuff? Have you ever seen Johnny use whitey stuff? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, how many times, roughly? Isaac, once. Mr. Quinn, when was that? Isaac, a couple of years back. Mr. Quinn, remember anything about the circumstances of that? Isaac, nope. Mr. Quinn, and in 40 years of friendship, that's the only time you've ever saw Johnny do Whitey stuff? Was that one time a few years back? Isaac, to my recollection, yeah. Mr. Quinn, is it possible there were more times that you can't specifically remember sitting here today? Isaac, to my recollection. Mr. Quinn, just that one time is your best recollection? Isaac, yeah, pretty much. Mr. Quinn, what do you mean by pretty much? Isaac, yes, to my recollection, the best of my recollection at one time, and I partook in it also. Mr. Quinn, what about ecstasy? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you've never seen Johnny take ecstasy. Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, what about pills? Isaac, vitamins, antidepressants. Mr. Quinn, what do you mean by antidepressants? Any specific types of pills that you've seen? Isaac, no, to me, it probably looked like vitamins. Isaac, and what about Oxy? Isaac, I never seen him take it, but he definitely was taking Roxy's. I mean, he ended up taking it for too long. He had to detox off that stuff. Mr. Quinn, And leaving aside what you've seen, do you know that Johnny has... Sorry, I'm going to start that again. And leaving aside what you've seen, do you know that Johnny has done, let's say, Whitey stuff more than the time that you've mentioned? Benchu, objection, calls for speculation. He's a precipitant witness. Mr. Quinn, just leaving aside that you've seen, to your knowledge, as Johnny has done Whitey stuff more than once. Benchu, same objection. Mr. Quinn, can you answer? Mr. Chu is making objections, as I did this morning, to preserve the record, but you can answer the question if you understand it. Isaac, yeah, I got no clue if it, how many times he's done anything. Mr. Quinn, to the best of your knowledge, has he ever done Quaaludes? Isaac, yeah, me too. Mr. Quinn, do you do Quaaludes together? Isaac, maybe years ago, yeah. I mean, that was Quaaludes in the 80s. Sure. It's hard to find a lewd these days, my God. Mr. Quinn. All right, Mr. Quinn, And it's fair to say over the last 40 years that Johnny has struggled with drugs and alcohol. Isaac, we all have, yeah. Mr. Quinn, how far back do those struggles go for Mr. Depp? Isaac, I couldn't say. I can only talk about myself, in that situation. Because for me, I had drank and did drugs since, I don't know, since the 80s stuff. And then I got clean and, I stopped doing everything. Mr. Quinn, do you want to pry? I don't want to pry into your privacy. And Mr. Depp started this lawsuit, so I want to focus on Mr. Depp. Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, in the 40 years that you've been friends, how far back in these 40 years did Mr. Depp's struggles with alcohol and drugs go? Isaac, I have no idea what. I have no idea if he struggled, I have no clue. I have no clue. That's for a person to say what's their struggle. That's for him to say, I have no idea. It's like how much cottage cheese is too much cottage cheese. For me, it might be a cup. For you, it might be, 3 bowls. Mr. Quinn, for me, it's indeed any. Mr. Quinn, let me ask you the question. I guess in a different way, for the last 40 years that you've known Johnny, for how much of that period has he been using drugs and alcohol? Benchu, objection to the form of the objection, vague. Isaac, no clue. Mr. Quinn, well, when you knew him in the 80s, was he drinking and doing drugs back then? Isaac, yeah, we all drank drugs. I don't think, that was, I don't think so with the drugs, but drinking, we all drank. Mr. Quinn, Isaac, without a doubt. Mr. Quinn, I think you testified a few minutes ago that Mr. Depp was doing Quaaludes with you in the 80s, right? Isaac, well, yeah, Quaaludes, maybe a Quaalude or whatever, that I know that we ate, but really drinking. We used to play the clubs together, hang out and play clubs together. So, yeah. Mr. Quinn, was he smoking pot in the 80s? Isaac, I don't remember. Mr. Quinn, doing Whitey stuff in the 80s? Isaac, I don't remember. Mr. Quinn, you're not sure whether Mr. Depp was doing Whitey stuff in the 80s. Isaac, I don't know. You could speculate. It's Miami. Mr. Quinn, well, you were friends and you were there, and I'm asking you under oath. Isaac, yeah, I never did Whitey stuff with him then. Mr. Quinn, I think you testified that Johnny told you once that Amber had hit him. Do you remember that testimony? Isaac, what he told me was she likes to argue and then she hits. Mr. Quinn, you never really actually saw her hit Mr. Depp, right? Isaac, nope. Mr. Quinn, and then you also testified this morning you have never heard Mr. Depp yell at Miss Heard, is that right? Isaac, say that again? Mr. Quinn, I think you testified this morning that you never heard Mr. Depp yell at Miss Heard, is that right? Isaac, yeah, no, like yell? Like, I'll tell you what, one day you want to hear yell, one day I'm in the kitchen, it's me, Johnny, Whitney, and Amber is preparing some type of food. And I was joking, we were all joking and making each other laugh, and we were singing songs and stuff. And I started singing when you running into first and your shorts are going to burst. Oh, the diarrhea song. And I won't continue. At that point, she gave a yell she gave out a yell that straightened out my back that I didn't think was coming. I didn't know who the hell it was coming from. And that she yelled, like, I never heard someone yell before, Isaac, stop, don't sing, I'm cooking food. And I was like, I'm sorry, it's And then we got all quiet and then waited a little and we started joking again. But I never heard him yell. That's what I remember. But her, yeah. I get it. You're preparing food. You do not want it. No, I get it. The yelling was too far, but politely asking people not to sing that song while they're preparing food, fair. It's fair. Mr. Quinn, moved to strike as non-responsive. Mr. Quinn, did you ever hear him get frustrated, raise his voice with misheard in any respect? Isaac, no. In fact, the only time that I remember that, like I was saying about talking about Whitney, because they were trying to figure out how to tell Whitney to leave or what to do and stuff. And he was, he walked away. So rather than to argue or to raise, his voice, because it seemed like it was going there with, what they were planning, Amber, and so go. Mr. Quinn, when you say it seems like it was going there, do you mean it seemed like Mr. Depp was getting frustrated? Isaac, no, her. Mr. Quinn, So in the years that you were together and that you lived next door, no time did you see him become frustrated or raise his voice in any way whatsoever. That's your testimony? Isaac, yelling at her? No, I've never seen him yell at her. Mr. Quinn, well, I was asking a slightly different question about raising his voice in any other or appearing frustrated. Did that ever happen in the years that they spent together that you were around? Isaac, I had never seen that. Mr. Quinn, I want to shift gears a little bit. We've taken 2 breaks, I think, so far during this deposition. Isaac, let's take one now. He's like, okay, sure. Taking a break. They take a break. Then they're back. Okay, Mr. Quinn. Good afternoon again, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, good afternoon again to you. Mr. Quinn, have you ever talked to Mr. Depp about this lawsuit? Isaac, this? Yeah. Mr. Quinn, how many times? Isaac, oh, I don't know. Mr. Quinn, multiple times? Isaac, I don't know. Mr. Quinn, well, do you remember one time that you spoke to him about this lawsuit, or were there more conversations than just one? Isaac, I'd say, yeah, a few times, yeah. Mr. Quinn, okay, when was the first time that you remember talking to Mr. Depp about this lawsuit? Isaac, it's an ongoing thing, from, 2016. It's an ongoing conversation. Mr. Quinn, let me ask a different question. When was the most recent time that you can remember speaking to Mr. Depp about this lawsuit? Isaac, oh, probably the last time I saw him, which was the day that, Jeff Beck and me and him hung out. Or whenever, and then after, talk about, the lunacy of it all. Mr. Quinn, what do you mean by the lunacy of it all? Mr. Quinn, you really had to ask that question? Really? Isaac, all of it. Like I said, it's insane that everything is a house of cards that began on a foundation of lies going back to 2016. That's the lunacy of it. That, you guys are defending a house of cards that's sitting on a foundation of lies, and it's, to me, it's sad. It's kind of criminal. Mr. Quinn, move to strike that as non-responsive. Mr. Quinn, did Mr. Depp, is that how he characterized this lawsuit to you? Isaac, that's how I'm characterizing it. You asked me if there was any conversation. That's what I'm saying, Mr. Quinn, what did Mr. Depp say to you about the lawsuit? Isaac, who remembers? A bunch of different things, I'm sure. Mr. Quinn, what's your best memory of your most recent conversations? What did Mr. Depp say about the lawsuit in that conversation? Isaac, gonna win. Yep. Mr. Quinn, he's unsure whether he's gonna win. Isaac, no, that's a statement. We're gonna win. He's gonna win. And I agree. Mr. Quinn, was Mr. Beck present for this conversation? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, or was it just you and Mr. Beck? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, how often would you say you and Mr. Depp talked about this lawsuit? Isaac, like I said before, we've talked about it since we've talked about this particular lawsuit. Whenever this came up, we've talked about it a few times. Yeah, we're talking about it, but it's talking about the entirety of it. Where it goes back to is from 2016. So, Mr. Quinn, and what's the first time you ever spoke to a lawyer for Mr. Depp about anything related to Mr. Depp and Miss Heard? Isaac, to a lawyer? Mr. Quinn, Isaac, was, I want to say probably like around 3 weeks to a month, within a month from the May 21st, somewhere in the end of June, a little bit before, maybe that, Johnny wasn't in town and he was touring. And so I had no way of reaching him after I saw all this stuff that happened and that she put out. And I ended up, I sat on my hands what to do, So I was lucky out of the blue that another friend of ours who was part of the tour ended up calling me saying, hey, what's up? How you doing? And who was with touring with Johnny. And I ended up saying, hey, look what, oh my God, Isaac, this is one big lie. Look what's happening, and that's, I saw bop, 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 bop. Everyone with me now in your head, in Isaac's voice, bop, 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 all the days that I saw, and I said, they're taking him, this is a grift. And then I ended, and then Johnny ended up calling me, and then I told him what the scoop was. And then I ended up talking to a lawyer after that. Mr. Quinn, move to strike the middle portion and that's non-responsive. Mr. Quinn, did Mr. Depp ask you to speak to a lawyer? Isaac, oh, I didn't. I said, I'm going to give my declaration. Yeah, I'm going to do, how do I help? He's like, I saw everything. Mr. Quinn, so when asked how can I help, did Mr. Depp then put in touch with you with one of his lawyers for you to speak to? Isaac, I believe so. Mr. Quinn, okay. Who was that lawyer? Isaac, her name, Blair. Mr. Quinn, is that Blair, Miss Burke? Isaac, yeah, I spoke with her on the phone a bunch of times and then with someone else, who was an assistant of hers, I guess. And yeah, I told her everything that I saw, the whole shebang. Mr. Quinn, you were Isaac. And then, yeah, I finally met her one day, Mr. Quinn, you referred earlier to a meeting in a lawyer's office on Sunset. Do you remember that? Isaac, yep. He said that, so this is Isaac. That was after I did the whole declaration and stuff. And it was like, yeah, this is the story, because they were making changes to it, not unlike what they, the changes, the embellishments to it. There's just certain words that is like, I don't want that word, whatever this kind of thing. So look, it's got to be true. What kind of thing? I'm not insinuating that it wasn't true, but it's just, I won't use that type of language. It's not me, so I don't like that. So it's got to be true, and oh, Isaac, and then, oh God. And then when it was, done, I had to bring it down. I went to that office and met with some guy, a German, I think, German name, Dater. And a guy named Dieter, yes, I believe that's what his name. And yeah, I gave him the paper and I started crying because I was so upset. Mr. Quinn, let's just take a step back. I want to make sure I've got the sequence of events. So you had a phone call with Mr. Depp while he was touring, and then you had a phone call with Miss Burke, his lawyer. Is that right? Isaac, I'm not sure. I can't remember if the tour finished or, he was, I don't remember. But from the tour, a friend of ours called me, and then I guess he was still on tour when he called me. Mr. Quinn, who was the friend you referred to? Isaac, Bruce Whitkin. Isaac, okay. Bruce Whitkin was on tour. Mr. Quinn, got it. Isaac, with Johnny, it's the first Hollywood Vampires tour. Mr. Quinn, after that first communication with Miss Burke, who actually typed out the first draft? Isaac, me. Mr. Quinn, of the declaration. Isaac, me. Mr. Quinn, can we look again? Could you look at Exhibit 2? Isaac, all I've got is paintings. Mr. Chu, these look to be your copies, though. You want Exhibit 2? They have the original sticker. Mr. Quinn, if those have the stickers, great. Question, is Baruch Exhibit 2 the actual document that you typed up? Isaac, I typed all of this. Mr. Quinn, how do you know to put the little numbers down the side? Isaac, no, well. Mr. Chu, for the record, the numbers are on Exhibit 1, just to clear the record. Witness, so that's Isaac. Oh, you mean the actual paper stuff? Yeah, no. This was a copy that I wrote. Mr. Quinn, sorry, let me take a step back and first address Mr. Chu's comment. It is not the case that there are only numbers down the side. There are numbers down the side of both Exhibit 1 and 2. Ben Chu, oh, that's true. I'm sorry. I thought you were referring to the caption. There's no caption, blah, 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 blah. Okay, we get back into it. Mr. Quinn, question. So Exhibit 2, this document is not in fact what you typed, correct? Isaac, the words are, not this paper, not the numbers and stuff. I wrote everything out. Mr. Quinn, in what form? Isaac, what do I use? I'm on the computer. It's like PDF. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a computer, whatever it's in. Was in like the model of PC, notepad or whatever. No, maybe it was like maybe email. I don't actually recall, what program it is. Got the computer. Actually, it's an old laptop. Anyway, yeah, I wrote it, emailed to them, and then they ended up making some changes and they sent it back to me or whatever, the printed. And it's like, no, I don't like what you're doing here with these words. I don't like that particular embellishment. It's a colorful word and it's like, no, that's not me. I'm not going to. Look, just try and do as keep it to whatever I'm writing and stuff. Oh my God, Isaac, you're killing me. And also the time, I remember the situation. The problem was that they kept putting some things in different orders or whatever, that kind of, no, that's not right. It's this day, this day, this day. I remember there was an issue. I was like, look, I saw her Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It was, and that those, in those days, 5 times or whatever, it was those days we saw each other face to face, talked, yacked, and then, was putting in some other day or whatever, just moving the days. And it was like, no, it didn't work out that way. It wasn't, all the days on the day. Oh, fuck me, Isaac. All the days on the day or all the times I saw her was on the day or anything like that. Oh, so too, it kept going back and forth till it was like, okay, this is fine. This is fine. This is, so, I guess this came, whatever, and it gets printed out, it's got the numbers. Mr. Quinn, how many times do you and the lawyers go back and forth with drafts on the statements? Isaac, oh, something. I don't recall. Mr. Quinn, multiple rounds, through back and forth, exchanging the draft. Isaac, probably around 4. Mr. Quinn, and you can't remember what application you used or what form you sent the declaration. Is that right? Isaac, oh, I definitely emailed, PDF file, right? That's what they're called? Yeah, PDF file. Mr. Quinn, do you recall whether the initial draft that you wrote began, I, Isaac Baruch, declared as follows, or is something like that the lawyers added? Isaac, I think that's something that, yeah, I didn't start like that. Yeah, I didn't put that in. That's them. It's like, okay, that's part of, that's like legalese, yeah, I'm Isaac Baruch. Declare as follows. Okay, that was like a heading. Like if I wrote everything. And then if there was like, if I didn't do the proper, the date in the left-hand corner type thing, if that's what, like, it's okay. Like, oh my God, Isaac, fuck me. Okay, that's how it's supposed to be. Isaac Baruch declares as follows. All right, I'll go along with that. I didn't write that. Mr. Quinn, can you, sitting here today and looking at Exhibit 2, can you be sure at what point in your back and forth with the lawyers this draft is from? Isaac, I could tell you this much. It's not the first one because the first one was way longer. And I wrote every single thing that I could have. That was, like I was living it. And it was also a lot longer. And the way I talked and what I write, I didn't leave, there were certain phrases that I used of certain, whatever. Like if I was, the shtick, I even wrote that, that kind of thing. The shtick is, or this is, how I talk. So, Mr. Quinn, so this draft reflects some edits from Mr. Depp's lawyers, then this isn't what you drafted. Isaac, this is edits that I okayed and then I went that I'm okay with this, yes, okay, this is what I wrote, yeah. Mr. Quinn, well, this isn't the final version though, right? Mr. Chu, objection, asked and answered. Isaac, you know something? I don't know. I'd have to see, if there's others, if there's something else. Mr. Quinn, Mr. Chu also introduced Mr. Baruch, Exhibit 1. And as Mr. Chu noted a few minutes ago, that has some case-related details down at the bottom. Do you see that? Ben Chu, wait a minute. I think just to expedite, I think he's referring to that at the bottom. Mr. Quinn, yes, I'm referring to the writing at the bottom of each page of Baruch Exhibit 1 that refers to a particular litigation which doesn't appear on Baruch Exhibit 2. Do you see that? Isaac, right. Okay, what about that? Mr. Quinn, do you know which each of these drafts came first? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, do you know whether either of these drafts... Wait a second. Isaac, wait a second. You asked me what comes first. Definitely this, I think, would come first because this is just a more short and concise version of it. I got too wordy. I mean, it was maybe, I'm not sure really, is there another one that I did? Mr. Quinn, well, let me ask you, do you still have access to your emails and files from back then? Isaac, you know something? This is where I got this from. This is what I printed out, from on my email, all I had. Mr. Quinn, when did you do this? Isaac, when I sent it to Mr. Waldman. This is going back, I don't know, a while back. Mr. Quinn, well, I know that each of these documents, Baruch Exhibit 1 and 2, just above your signature line. Isaac, oh, wait a second. The date is here. It says January 21st is when I printed out from my email. And I just sent him everything. That's when, right there is the date, January 21st, probably. Mr. Quinn, let's just look a little more closely on that. So on each of these documents, just above your signature block, there's a couple of lines of text which read, I declare under penalty of perjury, under the laws of the state of California, that the foregoing is true and correct. Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, executed this blank day of June 2016, Los Angeles, California. Isaac, oh. Mr. Quinn, do you see that? Isaac, yeah. This was from like you brought up from the time of Blair, dealing with Blair. Mr. Quinn, right. Isaac, so I sent these to Adam on January 21st. So I signed it that it's January 21st, but this whole declaration is from 2016. Mr. Quinn, did you sign a final declaration in 2016 that you swore at that time? Isaac, absolutely. You've got to find Mr. Dieter, the German guy who works for Blair's office. Mr. Quinn, so you signed some version of this declaration in 2016, but you don't have access to it. Is that correct? Isaac, I don't know if I have access. Mr. Quinn, did you search your files in preparation for today's deposition? Isaac, do I have it on email? No. No. The only thing that I have email going back and forth was this. Mr. Quinn, but you remembered about 4 rounds of exchange. Isaac, yeah, something like that, yeah. Mr. Quinn, were you able to find these two? Isaac, yeah, this is the only thing that I kept. Mr. Quinn, and you couldn't find the final version? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, that you signed in 2016. Mr. Chu, objection asked and answered. Isaac, can we get in touch with Blair and find out? Mr. Quinn, well, I expect that will be a question for the lawyers, but are you certain that you signed a version of this? Isaac, absolutely. In 2016, asked Mr. Quinn. Isaac, why would I not turn it in? I mean, unsigned, or why would I turn it in unsigned if it has to be signed, right? Mr. Quinn, can you be sure the version sitting here today, can you be sure whether the version that you signed back then was one of these 2 documents? Isaac, it's got to be some form because this one is definitely shorter than this one, right? So it's got to be some type of form of, but everything is my words except for, of course, there's Isaac Baruch declares as follows. Mr. Quinn, well, you said that you received some drafts from the lawyers that you didn't think were accurate, that were embellishments and other things, and you didn't think were correct, right? Isaac, yeah, certain words or whatever, and that, yeah, I didn't like it. And it was like, yeah, that's not, it's also date-wise was off. Mr. Quinn, sitting here today, can you be sure whether Baruch Exhibit 2 was one of those drafts that had some embellishments and other details that were incorrect or was in fact a draft? Ben Chu, objection. Mr. Quinn, were you unsure? Ben Chu, mischaracterizes his testimony. He testified that both were accurate with one exception, which he corrected on the record. Isaac, yeah. That's everything here is good. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let it go. Mr. Quinn, right, but Baruch Exhibit 2 was a draft that was part of a process of exchange between you and the lawyers that led to the final, right? Isaac, right. Mr. Quinn, it's not in fact the final. Isaac, you know something? For all anyone knows, unless we get in touch with Blair and get the signed one that that Dieter took, this could be the final one. This could have been. Mr. Quinn, right, but sitting here today, you can't swear that it is, right? Isaac, this one exactly? Mr. Quinn, correct. Isaac, the final one? Yeah, show me the other one because Mr. Quinn, did you make an effort to go find this before depositions? Isaac, did I call up Blair? No, because that's I think that's a whole law firm. That's part of the law firm that Johnny might have a situation with, Mr. Quinn, so in January of 2019, at some point, you went into your email, printed these 2 documents, signed them both, and sent them to Mr. Waldman, right? Ben, asked and answered 3 or 4 times. Isaac, yep. Mr. Quinn, why did you do that? Isaac, why? Mr. Quinn, yeah. Isaac, I was asked, do I have anything with a declaration from 2016? I says, yeah, I got, I think I got it on my email. I saved some of it, and so I went, and that was it. Mr. Quinn, who asked you that question? Isaac, ask me which question? Mr. Quinn, whether you had a copy of the declaration that you had signed in 2016. Isaac, I think Adam asked me. Mr. Quinn, when was the first time you spoke to Mr. Waldman? Isaac, I don't recall. I mean, it's got to be this past, within the year. Mr. Quinn, prior to January 21st, 2019, when you signed these documents, Isaac, had I ever talked to him? Mr. Quinn is nodding his head, yes. Isaac, yeah, I believe so. I mean, I don't know. I did meet him afterwards. Did I want to, ask him when? Hey, when did we meet? Oh, I think I met him. Ben Chu, he doesn't want you to speculate. Ben Chu, so just do the best you can. Isaac, I don't recall. Mr. Quinn, how many times have you met or spoken with Mr. Waldman? Isaac, oh, not very many times, a few times. Mr. Quinn, can you give me an approximate number? Isaac, what's a few? Mr. Quinn, I guess I'd ask you the question, what do you mean by a few? Isaac, a couple is 2, a few is 4. I'll go with probably a few. And Isaac, 4. Mr. Quinn, you believe these meetings all took place within this calendar year, within 2019? Isaac, when you say meeting, what do you mean meeting? Mr. Quinn, well, again, I suppose I'll ask you the question. Had you met with Mr. Waldman, did you speak on the phone? Isaac, I met with him in person at one of Johnny's houses on the phone. On the phone. I don't remember if we talked or text and what else we did. It could be a couple. Oh, and then the email. Mr. Quinn, when you met in person at one of Johnny's residents, was Mr. Depp present for that meeting? Isaac, it wasn't, hanging out. It wasn't real. It was a real social thing. Yeah. Mr. Quinn, what do you remember? Who else was there? Isaac, me, Johnny, his sister, Adam, his wife, and his daughter. I don't remember his daughter's name. I don't remember his wife's name either. Sorry about that. What was the nature of the discussion? What do you remember talking about? Isaac, we were talking about everything and anything. We were listening to music. We were listening to tracks that Johnny had just recorded with Jeff Beck. So we were listening to that. That was a blast, listening to music and talk about what else. Definitely talked about this stuff. We conversed about this stuff. And that's pretty much. Mr. Quinn, what do you remember about the conversation? Who said what about this case? Isaac, we all had something to say. Mr. Quinn, what do you mean? Isaac, what do you mean? It's we're in law. There's a lawsuit. There's a lawsuit going on. What else? I got, something I don't remember. Oh my God. Mr. Quinn, was it before the lawsuit was filed? Isaac, I don't recall. I mean, obviously something was in motion, right? I think, I was saying to you, right? Yeah, I don't recall because I'm not really sure exactly when this whole thing started. I don't know when. I don't know when a defamation case got started. And I don't know because don't know that how can I judge when if it was maybe before or after? It definitely wasn't before. Mr. Quinn, let me ask it this way. Was it before or after you found these documents in your email, printed them, signed them, and sent them to Mr. Waldman? Isaac, wait a second. What do you call it? The tracks that were recorded so that John, we were listening to, the defamation case was already, it was already in process. Yeah, this was after that. Mr. Quinn, was it before or after you sent these documents to Mr. Waldman? Did that come later? Isaac, well, this is from January. What are we in now? October? Are we in October? No, we're in November. It's November. Thanksgiving is next week or whatever it is. Was it before January? No, it wasn't before January. This is a bunch of months ago, I think. It was 6 months ago or something within. No, who knows? Maybe even less. Mr. Quinn, okay, let me make sure I've got it. You met with Mr. Waldman, Mr. Depp, and a few other people at Mr. Depp's residence. People were listening to music, hanging out, and talking about the lawsuit. Something in the past 6 months? Isaac, I think so, yeah. Mr. Quinn, when was the first time that you remember meeting or interacting in some way with Mr. Waldman? Isaac, I just told you. No, it was somewhere around I talked to him texted him and met him that might have been the first time that I met him in person. Mr. Quinn, when was the first time that you communicated? Isaac, that I don't, maybe before that. Yeah, it was, before that, because then when we finally met, it was like, hey, it's nice to meet you, finally, right. So we had discussed, we had talked before. Yeah, sure. Mr. Quinn, so when was the first time you talked? Isaac, God, I don't know the date. Mr. Quinn, how did you know to print these documents and sign them and send them to Mr. Waldman in January of 2019? Ben Chu, objection to the form of the question. Mr. Quinn, why did you send these to Mr. Waldman in January? Isaac, he asked me if I had copies of any of my original declaration, and I said, oh, look. Mr. Quinn, okay, so you communicated before January 21st of 2019. Isaac, yeah. How would I know? How can I read his mind? Didn't do it telepathically. Mr. Quinn, okay, but the in-person meeting took place later, as best you recall. The in-person meeting that you described at Mr. Depp's residence that took place later. Isaac, you know something? I don't remember if it was before or after. I think it might have been after. Not really sure, but it was the first time that I met him. So I was like, hey, yeah, so who knows? Maybe that could have been. Mr. Quinn, and when you were there with Mr. Waldman and Mr. Depp and others, was there discussion about legal strategy relating to this case? Isaac, oh, not that I remember, but who knows? Mr. Quinn, you said there was some discussion about, we're going to win, right? Isaac, yep. Mr. Quinn, what else do you recall about that conversation? Isaac, we're going to win, we're going to do, we're going to win. And, that's you. Who knows if that's even what he said? I'm like, that's the thing. That's the gist of it. It was like, yeah, it's going to be, we're going to win this. He's going to win this because how could he not? It's, she's lying. Mr. Quinn, who said that? Isaac, well, I'm saying that right now. Mr. Quinn, did anyone say that during the meeting? Isaac, well, probably me. Mr. Quinn, anyone else? Isaac, who knows? I know I said that. Mr. Quinn, was anyone consuming any drugs or alcohol during this meeting? Isaac, I was drinking wine. Mr. Quinn, anyone else? Isaac, I'm not sure. I'm sure there's others. There was beer and wine maybe. Mr. Quinn, anything else? Isaac, not that I recall. Mr. Quinn, we've taken, I think, 3 breaks during this deposition. Isaac, you need one? Mr. Quinn, I don't, but I noticed during the last 2 of those breaks you were sitting on a closed room with Mr. Depp's lawyers. Isaac, oh. Mr. Quinn, is that right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, you had lunch with them today. Isaac, I mean, if you want to call it that, I had a piece of beef. Miss Brooke, we didn't get beef, we just got chicken. Ben Chu, that's a shot at Camille. Miss Brooks, I thought it was delicious. Isaac, you're more than welcome to go in there and take, what I didn't eat. Mr. Quinn, and I think this morning when you first walked towards the room, I thought I saw you coming down the hallway with Mr. Waldman and Miss Vasquez. Is that correct? Miss Vasquez, is that right? Isaac, I don't know. I don't remember, but go ahead. Yeah. Mr. Quinn, do you remember this morning? Isaac, oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, we were talking in the hallway. Mr. Quinn, did you sit with Mr. Depp's lawyers before the deposition began? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, and did you meet with them during the breaks during today's deposition as well? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, Mr. Chu was in the room? Isaac, yeah. These 3, pointing at Mia, Mona, and I'm sorry, Mona. Mr. Quinn, and just for the record is clear, when you say these 3, you mean Mr. Chu, Mr. Waldman, and Ms. Vasquez? Isaac, yeah. Them and Camille and Adam and Mona. Mr. Quinn, for how long did you meet this morning before your deposition? Isaac, oh, I probably got here like 10:30. Actually, I got here maybe a little bit before, but I got off the freeway, the 405, and I couldn't make it into the building because I had to go to the bathroom. So I went to the other place, and then I popped my head in. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh my God, the detail. The detail. Oh my God. Sorry. So I went to the other place and then I popped my head and came up at around, I guess it was around maybe 22, something like that, 20 to 11, 10:30. I sat with these guys, or actually I sat with Ben and Camille, and then Adam showed up. Mr. Quinn, what did you talk about? Isaac, oh, they told me, the rigmarole, what's going to be here, this camera, and someone is going to do I've never done this before. So that was my main question. I've never done this. And that just, I'm like excited and nerved and, I'm tired and I got 3 hours of sleep. And then I've got to drive in the rain and that kind of tiring because, when you're driving in the rain and the sun is out, it's kind of snow blinding. You get snow blind a little bit. And, so we're giving me the lowdown on what you guys are going to be asking questions. They're going to be asking questions and just what goes on. What's the, what's the shtick? We're not coming up with a better word. Mr. Quinn, did you talk about Mr. Depp? Isaac, nope. Mr. Quinn, did you talk about Miss Heard? Isaac, nope. Mr. Quinn, okay, why don't we take a short break and if it's okay, time for you. Isaac, yeah, I'd love to smoke. And I do believe I need a drink after all this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so they're back after they all went for a break. Mr. Quinn, good afternoon again, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, yes, good afternoon again to you. Mr. Quinn, I'm handing you now what we're marking as Baruch Exhibit 4. I'll represent to you, this is an architectural drawing of the penthouse floor of the Eastern Columbia building that we were able to find online. Does this look familiar? Are you able to make any sense of it? Isaac, well, now that I'm going to have to put these on, I'm assuming his glasses. He says, oh, okay, I see. Here's the hallway. I'm looking for stuff. Here's the elevator. Here's the hallway. Here's 5, 4, 3, 2. This is me. There's the gym. Mr. Quinn, I'm just going to hand you a blue pen. And if I can ask you to mark each of the penthouses you just mentioned. Benchu, he's taking my idea. That was my idea. Going on about Isaac's just like labeling everything. Mr. Quinn, and then he wants to know, do you want it back? Mr. Quinn, no, you can hang on to that because I may ask you to mark 1 or 2 other things. Mr. Quinn, and I think what I'd like to do if we can is we've marked the annotated as Baruch 5. Once we're finished with it, if we can mark, okay, never mind. Mr. Quinn, so if I can ask you to focus first on penthouse 2, that's where you lived. Is that correct? Isaac, correct. Mr. Quinn, and just outside of penthouse 2, there's what appears to be some kind of outdoor area. Isaac, yes, patios. Mr. Quinn, right. And then beyond that, if we move, to the left of the document, if we have it aligned where the printed text, the way the printed text is, the pool area, right? Isaac, well, first the gym, and then then there's the walkway, and then you go through the stairs and a walkway to enter into the gym, to the pool, or you walk around the gym and there's another entrance into the pool area that you can walk upstairs and then go into the pool area. Mr. Quinn, and the pool area is elevated, right, from the rest of the floor? Isaac, yeah, probably around, 4 or 5 steps? Yeah, no, maybe more, because on some sides it matters where you're going to be entering from. It's different stairs, but yeah, it's elevated. Mr. Quinn, yeah, there's just, on this diagram, there seems to be more than just 4 or 5 steps, right? As you could head up to the pool, if you kind of walked out the hallway by penthouse 2 and then along that patio and then turn to the right up to the gym before you get, right up to the pool before you get to the gym, you see there's a staircase there, right? Isaac, say that again. Mr. Quinn. So if I'm walking out of penthouse 2, Mr. Quinn, yeah, if you walked out of penthouse 2 and turned left and went outside. Isaac, that's right. I'm going to have to go down that hallway and then I have to make a turn and go upstairs. And then, Mr. Quinn, and then what is that? 8, 10 feet up? Isaac, no, less than that. Mr. Quinn, okay, you refer to that wall. There seems to be these little dots. Were there like planters or something above that? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, and those are the level of the floor of the pool area. Isaac, it's been so long. You know something? I can't recall, but go ahead. Mr. Quinn, I'm just trying to get a sense for it. Right outside the door there, you can see that there's drawings. Isaac, which door? Mr. Quinn, the hallway exit by the door to penthouse 2. Out to that area by the wall before the pool area, do you see there's a marking that says awning number 3? Isaac, that you have a circle around? Mr. Quinn, that was on the drawing as we found it, but yeah. Isaac, that's what you're talking about. Mr. Quinn, uh-huh. Isaac, that's not a door. That's just a doorway. It's open. Mr. Quinn, open air? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, okay. Is there an awning there? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, this refers to awning number 3. Isaac, not that, no. They may have put an awning there after I left. I don't know, I don't remember an awning there. Mr. Quinn, all right, let me ask you to turn your attention back to Baruch Exhibits 1 and 2. Isaac, okay, what's this? Just a non sequitur. Oh my God, just a non sequitur. Is that where she got it from? Oh my God. Mr. Quinn, we may refer back to it if you keep it handy. Isaac, okay. So which one? 1 or 2? Mr. Quinn, have them both in front of you. We may go through to have some things on both of them. All right, so first in Baruch Exhibit 1, paragraph 2 begins by saying, I live in a condominium unit owned by respondent John Christopher Depp II at 849 South Broadway in Los Angeles. See that? Isaac's like, yeah. Mr. Quinn, and similarly, Baruch Exhibit 2 at the beginning of paragraph 1 says, I live in penthouse 2, and says the address. Isaac's like, Mr. Quinn, right. You signed these documents on January 21st, 2019. Yep. And Isaac's like, yeah. Copies of this, yes. Mr. Quinn, and as of that date, when you signed these under penalty of perjury, those statements weren't true, right? Isaac, in what way? Mr. Quinn, as of January 21st, 2019, you didn't live at the Eastern Columbia building, right? Isaac, as of January 21st of 2019, no, I didn't. Mr. Quinn, okay, so when you signed this document that said, I live at the Eastern Columbia building, that statement was not true. Ben, true. That's completely distorts his testimony. He testified for 2 hours about when these were created and he signed them and why. I mean, really, let's ask some questions. Mr. Quinn, move to strike Mr. Chu's improper commentary. Isaac, okay, so you're saying it's like technically because I signed it on the 20th, I signed it on the 20th of January, January 21st, then all of a sudden I disappeared and I never lived at that address. Mr. Quinn, I'm just asking as of the date you signed. Is that, Isaac, is that a technical thing? Mr. Quinn, I'm trying to be precise, I suppose. As of the date you signed it, that statement wasn't accurate, right? Isaac, as of that date that I signed it, I lived at the date for 3 years, it says in there also. Mr. Quinn, and that also wasn't accurate when you signed it. Isaac, well, actually it was. It was accurate. The information is accurate. The information is accurate. Whether I signed it afterwards, is it relevant? Because the information is accurate, correct? Mr. Quinn, what I'm asking is, Isaac, isn't that the important thing? Mr. Quinn, you signed this document on January 21st, 2019, right? Ben Chu, asked and answered 7 times, 3 by me, 4 by you. Mr. Quinn, that's right. You signed this on January 21st, 2019. Ben Chu, 3 times. Isaac, a copy that I emailed, that I found in my email and that I signed it, yeah, on January 21st, 2019. Mr. Quinn, okay, and as of that date, those statements were correct, right? Isaac, which statements? Mr. Quinn, that you lived at the Eastern Columbia building as of that date, had lived there for 3 years prior. Ben Chu, asked and answered 4 times. Isaac, oh, what did you want me to say? That I lived in a condominium unit owned by respondent John Christopher Depp rather than I live? Could that be a typo? I don't think so, what are you getting at? Mr. Quinn, I'm just asking whether these statements were true at the time you signed this declaration. Ben Chu, asked and answered. Isaac, the information is true. Everything I've said is true here today, to you, to Ben, Mr. Chu, everything. Mr. Quinn, let's look at a couple of other statements here in the Baruch Exhibit 2 in paragraph 2. You describe, you described the evening of May 21st, 2016, right? Isaac, right, when me and my friend came home. Came over and, right, saw the wine, something. I said in the thing that I saw a glass, I saw wine and glass, and then here I said wine. There might not have been a wine glass, busted wine glass. I wanted to say that there was, but it's not here. But also the sconce was broken, so that I said, but then not in here, but go ahead. Oh, Isaac, you're killing me. Mr. Quinn, this whole description of May 21st event. Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, appears in the Baruch Exhibit 2. Isaac, Mr. Quinn, there is no discussion of it at all on Baruch Exhibit 1. Do you see that? Isaac, it got pared down, right? Mr. Quinn, yeah. Why was it taken out? Isaac, You'd have to ask Blair because, like I said before, what I wrote was a lot longer and there was a lot more. And they took it out and they took, edited some stuff. They got some date wrongs and stuff. The order of stuff was wrong and went back and forth. And then so it was okay. It made it. It seemed to be okay that, what I pared down to, just to get the gist of what needed to be said, what I was putting across. It's like, I could even look at it now. Mr. Quinn, I think you've answered my question. Let me ask you. Isaac was reviewing the document. Mr. Quinn, I think you've answered the question. Let me ask you this. You refer to a friend in your description of May 21st, and you've referred this morning to a friend. Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, who is the friend you were with? Isaac, a guy named David Kalish. Great. Now you want to call David, huh? Mr. Quinn, another question for the lawyers, I suppose. Let me turn to May 22nd on the next day, that's Sunday, right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, and you left your apartment? Isaac, yep. Mr. Quinn, and you said it was about noon, correct? Isaac, somewhere around there. Mr. Quinn, you encounter 2 locksmiths, a man in black clothing, misheard. Does that sound right? Isaac, yeah, and Josh, who was at the door on the inside of the apartment, and Raquel, Rocky was inside doing stuff. Mr. Quinn, let me direct your attention to Baruch Exhibit 2, Paragraph 3. You're there about 3-4 lines down. You're listening to the people that you encountered and referred to 2 locksmiths, an unknown man, Amber Heard, and her boyfriend, Josh Drew. Isaac, Amber Heard and her boyfriend. Yeah, see, so yeah, this is definitely one of those things that I said, like, hey, this is stuff all wrong. Like I was saying before, they've got dates wrong and they got, yeah, is Josh Drew Amber's boyfriend? Do you know? Can you tell me? Mr. Quinn, I do think I know the answer to that question. Isaac, were they fooling around with each other or something like that beyond Rocky's back? I don't know. I don't think so. That would obviously, that's Rocky's boyfriend. So it's like, stuff like that is like, that's why I guess it says draft, obviously, Mr. Quinn. So that's not correct. Isaac, no, of course not. Mr. Quinn, and if you can go back now to Baruch exhibit, what's the blueprint? Now I'm getting my exhibits mixed up. Ben Chu, 3, I think, 4. So, oh my God, everyone's confused. Mr. Quinn, yeah, Baruch, we'll mark it as da-da-da-da-da, okie dokie. Question, could you put a little 522 exactly where you encountered this group of people? Isaac, oh yeah, right here, isn't it? Same place that is right in front of the penthouse 1 door. Got it. Isaac, same exact place where the wine was spilt and going up the wall. Mr. Quinn, so just for the record, I'll clarify that we've marked that with an X. I'll put an X, yeah. Mr. Quinn, I think it's okay. I think we've clarified the record on that. Mr. Baruch has marked spot with X. Okay. Mr. Baruch, I think you said this morning that there was a light in the hallway. Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, on May 22nd, there was a light coming from Isaac, coming from both sides. Mr. Quinn, you mean the hallway lights is what you're referring to? Isaac, comes from both sides and the door is open. They were working on the door. This is the side of the wall. This whole thing is windows, is glass. There's windows from the kitchen. There's windows. These are all beautiful lit places. And light falls into the hallway along with the lights. Mr. Quinn, could you describe what Miss Heard was wearing at that moment as much as detail as you can remember? Isaac, if I'm not mistaken, I want to say a long like hippie dress, hippie gown, you know what I'm talking about. It's just, like it's just a zipper thing, throw it over your arms through, whatever, one of those. Mr. Quinn, what color was it? Isaac, I don't remember. I remember the night. I remember that it was beige, a beige pattern, one from the night that she knocked on my door from the dinner thing before that. But on that day, I'm not exactly sure. But if I'm not mistaken, it was, a hippie. I say hippie dress, but that's not exactly what you call it. That's not the name for it. Mr. Quinn, okay, let me just try to be clear, but do you remember what color the dress was? Isaac, not particularly. Mr. Quinn, okay, do you remember whether she was wearing any jewelry? Isaac, not particularly. Mr. Quinn, do you remember whether she had sunglasses? Isaac, nope. Mr. Quinn, do you remember whether her hair was up or down? Isaac, down. Mr. Quinn, was it covering any part of her face? Isaac, no. She showed it could be at points. It could have been at points, Mr. Quinn, in both, let me refer to some paragraphs again in Baruch Exhibit 2. In paragraph 4, the last sentence, Isaac, well, 2 paragraph. It's only 1 paragraph. What part are you saying? Mr. Quinn, sorry, oh my God. We are almost done. Question, I'm going to refer you and ask you to read to yourself the last sentence. He's reviewing it. Okay, and then let me refer to you also Exhibit 1, the draft without the watermark on it. And if you look at line 14, see those numbers down the side? In each one of those drafts, you're precise to say Amber did not appear to be wearing any makeup. Is that right? Isaac, yeah, that's what it says, right? Mr. Quinn, in each draft, it did not appear she was wearing makeup, right? Is how you put it? Isaac, well, I'm going to tell you what I wrote originally, she is not wearing a speck of makeup. From what I remember, that she wasn't wearing a speck of makeup. Mr. Quinn, but these drafts say it does not appear, right? Isaac, and so it was. Amber did not appear to be wearing any makeup. It's like, oh yeah, that's a different way of me saying what I said. So I'm okay with that. I'll let that go. Mr. Quinn, you weren't with her when she got ready that morning, right? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you weren't with her you didn't see her go from shower to out the door. Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, right? Isaac, I don't even know if she took a shower that morning. Mr. Quinn, later that day, you went and saw Mr. Depp in person, you said, right? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, so the rest of the interactions that you described that week all took place after an interaction that you had with Mr. Depp, right? Isaac, what other interactions? With anything after May 22nd? Mr. Quinn, right. Isaac, after all of this is what you're saying. Mr. Quinn, correct. Isaac, in the hallway? Mr. Quinn, right. Isaac, while they were changing the locks? Everything else happened after. Then I went to go see Johnny. Mr. Quinn, right. So just to make sure we've got that. All the rest of those interactions took place after you saw Johnny. Isaac, yeah, I saw Amber in that noon or whatever it was, around noon, between noon and 1 o'clock, something like that. And then I saw Johnny afterwards. Then the next time I saw Amber was Monday. Mr. Quinn, when you met with Mr. Depp that day, was it just the two of you? Isaac, for a while, for a bit, and then you know something. When I went over there, I had no clue that his mother passed away on Friday night. And he didn't tell me. The second I walked in, to sit down with them, I was like, my concern was that, hey, these guys are changing the locks on the apartments down there. And they told me this, whole story, and you know what happened. And then where he told, then he told me what he told me. And then he said, by the way, my mother died on Friday. And I started crying. I was like, it's like we started talking about a bunch of different things. So, Mr. Quinn, so no mention of that meeting in either of these drafts. Why is that? Isaac, a draft is about the truth of what I saw concerning Amber. I'm not going to put in there, yeah, Johnny was also wearing, 2 different colored socks, so there's nothing about that in there. Mr. Quinn, so you just didn't think it was relevant? Isaac, what happened in the conversation between Johnny when I went over to his house afterwards to tell him about what Amber was doing with changing the locks and what me and Johnny might have talked about? Was that supposed to be relevant? You're asking me if that's relevant to this declaration. That's all about me witnessing about Amber Heard. It's definitely not relevant. Yep. Mr. Quinn, okay. In draft declaration, which I think is Baruch 2, if you can refer to paragraph 9 right at the end. Isaac, yeah. Also, what's left out here is what's left out of there is when I was down in Long Beach. Various other times, for shorter periods of that time here and there, nothing as extravagant as living in the state, and also, even if I wasn't living out of state, it doesn't mean that I see Johnny, he's all over the place traveling. So yeah, other than that, that's all good. Mr. Quinn, okay, so I just want to ask you, I want to ask you to kind of compare paragraph 9 of that declaration to paragraph 7 of Baruch's Exhibit 1. Isaac, physical violence, yeah, they're both true. Mr. Quinn, so the one with the draft watermark, Baruch Exhibit 2 says, in all the years I've known Johnny Depp, I have never once seen him being in any physical fight or commit any act whatsoever of physical violence. Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, do you see that sentence? Isaac, I even said that before. It's like all the years I've known him, I've never seen him get into a fight. Mr. Quinn, well, in paragraph 7, Isaac, I've gotten into fights, but I've never seen him get into a fight. Mr. Quinn. And then in paragraph 7 of Baruch Exhibit 1, it says, in the many years I have known Johnny, I've never once seen him commit an act of physical violence. The reference to any physical fight is dropped. Do you see that? Isaac, any physical fight? Yeah, Mr. Quinn, well, the reference to a fight is dropped, right? In Baruch Exhibit 1? Isaac, yeah. Mr. Quinn, why the change? Isaac, it was pared down to the gist of the matter. It was like, does it really matter if I've never seen him in a fight 30 years ago? I think it's important to know. I think it's important to know that, yeah, I've never seen the guy even get into a fight. He's just not that type of cat. So, but this is, it was pared down. It's like, okay, I'm okay with that because it's something that needs to be clarified. It's shorter sentences. And basically, it gets to the gist of it, that I've never seen him be violent. I've never seen him physically violent. What happens when you're in a fight? You're physically violent, right? So I leave the fight out and put in, I just leave physical violence. Makes sense to me, no? Mr. Quinn, okay, so do I understand you saying Mr. Depp's lawyers took that out and you're okay with that change? Isaac, I might have even taken it out. I don't know. And then, oh my God, and then I could have taken it out, or maybe they took it out. And I was like, I approve that because anything that might have been changed, I needed to approve because I didn't want it to be lies. I want it to be all truth. That's why I went back and forth after I wrote who knows how much. And then, so to pare it down, just to get the gist of things, you just want things you want this thing to be 40 pages long, or you want it could be 2 pages. And just as has the same information, but it might say in like this, oh my God, oh my God, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry, oh my God, I can't, oh Isaac, I love you, but I can't. Mr. Quinn, have you ever seen Mr. Depp damage any property or break anything? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, 40 years, you've never seen him break a glass? Isaac, I saw a video, I think, of maybe a glass or something broke in the video. The one where Amber is goading him in the kitchen, where he is obviously upset. His mother was dying. His mother was sick. There were finances. He just found out his financial situation, and he was not too happy. And that she was doing like the same thing on the phone in the video that I saw. I think maybe glass busted in that. I think I'm not, but I could be mistaken. Mr. Quinn, when you say glass busted, you mean he broke the glass? Isaac, I think maybe a glass might have busted in that when I think that, if I'm not mistaken, there was a glass that was in front of the phone that she had hidden to try and like capture this, frame it and spin the situation in a particular way with what she was recording on the phone. And I think maybe the glass that she, was using to prop up the phone, I think maybe that glass might have broke. I think you see that in the video. But other than that, I think maybe I broke a glass or something like that in the house, or, because did I ever see him break a glass? Who remembers? I don't know. Stuff happens. It's, sometimes on the table, there could be a zillion things, on the table. You could move one thing, you move one thing because there's so much stuff. Something is at the edge. Maybe a glass gets broke. I don't know. An ashtray. Mr. Quinn, move to strike that portion of the answer that speculated as to Miss Heard's motivations or mental state as non-responsive. Mr. Quinn, you've never been in an intimate or romantic relationship with Mr. Depp, right? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you never lived. Isaac, hang on a second. Because of all that, even to ask that question, all of that reminds me of the paintings that I have. Because not too long ago, I got a phone call from a guy named Paul Baresi, who I think you guys have, might be working with, you cats or whatever. And that I get a phone call from him and he calls me up and says, hey, Isaac, I tried to reach out to you on Facebook. And that I wanted to know if I could come and actually see a raw, if it's showing someplace, or if I could come over and see it, because I'm looking for an artist. Oh, he said, you can check me out. I'm pretty infamous in Hollywood. I used to be in the 70s porn. And then he ends up saying, yeah, I'm thinking about marketing a t-shirt. I'm thinking about marketing t-shirts. And so if you're interested, I think I would, be a good buck or whatever. Oh my God. And then he says, I hope to hear from you. And I said, who is this guy? I don't know this guy. So I end up going, he said he reached out to me on Facebook. So I ended up going on to my Facebook thing. And sure enough, what people be your, people want to be your friend or whatever and stuff on that thing. And it's like, they whatchamacallit. It's all sometimes you say, yeah, okay, or whatever. And the next thing you know, the whole thing is filled with spam. So unless someone I know personally or whatever, I don't add it. Anyway, I see the picture and I go to his Facebook page and it's kind of shady. Then I Google him and I do all this research and I find out, oh my God, this guy is part of the other lawyer, and they're complete shysters, blackmailing, trying to find out dirt, find two parties, and they get the dirt on the one and try to sell it to the other one and put the fear in one that they've uncovered something, some lie or whatever, and then they start playing back and forth, doing the fear routine with, to get money and stuff. And I says, look at this guy. This guy is trying to call. This guy is trying to get in touch with me. So he's obviously this is a nice fish hook they're trying to get me on, right? Oh, and the next thing I know, I pay no mind to it, but all of a sudden, 2 weeks later or whatever it is, I get a phone call. I get an email. Well, actually, I get a message on my Facebook from who? My ex-wife that I was married to for 3 minutes back in the 80s. And she calls me, she's messaging me out of nowhere saying, hey, I just got a phone call from some guy named Paul Baresi. And he's asking, trying to find out all kinds of stuff and questions and stuff. And I end up calling her and asking her about this guy. This guy was saying, do you know if he's married? And she says no. And he says, well, I think he got married and he's married to a woman named Carmen. And she goes, that's his mother. So anyway, there's more to it than that, but he was trying to harass her into stuff of trying to find out things about me. And one of the questions that he asked, is he gay? Isn't that wacky? That is wacky. Not in a condescending way, Isaac. That's a little bit too convenient, I feel. And so Mr. Quinn's like, okay, I'm going to. Isaac, isn't that wacky? Mr. Quinn wants to move on. Isaac, that's so unreal to me. I thought he was interested in marketing t-shirts, so that's really crazy. Mr. Quinn, I'm going to move to strike the entirety of that answer as non-responsive. Mr. Quinn, my question again was, you've never been in an intimate relationship with Mr. Depp, right? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you never lived with him in Penthouse 3. Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you never lived in Penthouse 5. Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you've never shared a residence with Mr. Depp. Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, you weren't on a private plane with Mr. Depp. Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, and Amber and a group of other people in May of 2004. Isaac, May of when? Mr. Quinn, 2004. Isaac, no, but I'll tell you what. Mr. Quinn, you don't need to tell me anything, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, I know you're getting tired of the stories because I know exactly what you're talking about. That I supplied the chocolate pies for Johnny, Amber, Rocky, and Josh when they took off to go to Paris on 2014 that he paid for them. Mr. Quinn, well, I'm asking about a different plane flight in May 2014. Isaac, yeah, I never. Mr. Quinn, were you on a flight from Boston to Los Angeles in May of 2014 with Miss Heard, Mr. Depp, and others? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, were you aware that Mr. Depp's longtime assistant apologized to her after that flight for the fact that Mr. Depp had kicked her, been violent with her on that flight? Isaac, I don't know. Mr. Quinn, you didn't travel with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard to Australia in March of 2015, did you? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, were you aware? Isaac, I think her father and her mother did and the dogs didn't they? I think so. Mr. Quinn, I'm asking about you, sir. Did you travel to Australia with them in March of 2015? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, did you know that Mr. Depp injured his finger during an incident in Australia in March of 2015? Isaac, yes. Mr. Quinn, did he say anything to you about that injury? Isaac, afterwards, I got in. He told me that he got because when he came back to get his finger taken care of and stuff, so I saw him. And what was it? The doctor, I was over there when the doctor had to clean, and check up on it and stuff like that. That, of course, the big question is, dude, how did you do that? What the hell happened? He said, God got it caught in the door. I think it was a door. And later to find out that he was covering for Amber. That later on he told me that they were arguing and it was about a prenup agreement that he brought up. There was something about that had to do with that kind of thing. And she went ballistic, and that she started throwing shit at him. Started throwing stuff at him. And she grabbed a full bottle of vodka, and he was on there's a bar, and he was sitting at the bar in the place, and his hand was hanging over like this, and that she threw the bottle at him, and it landed right on his finger and split his finger open. And that's what he told me afterwards, Mr. Quinn, when did he tell you that? Isaac, he told me that I think just maybe a little bit before I moved. Mr. Quinn, so years later. Isaac, nope, this well, maybe like a year and change later. Yeah, that's what happened. I don't know. What time period does that happen? They were in Australia? Mr. Quinn, well, I asked about what he told you when they returned in March of 2015. Isaac, oh, that's where we're still living downtown, and they were living downtown. Mr. Quinn, what he told you then was that he had caught his finger in a door. Is that correct? Isaac, yep. He said, I remember something with a door, and that, it wasn't, it's not, to save face, maybe. He wasn't going to say she chucked a bottle and split my finger open. Mr. Quinn, well, I don't want you to speculate, and I'm going to move to strike the second half of that answer as non-responsive. I was just asking about what he had done. Mr. Chu, completely responsive. Mr. Quinn, then I'll move to strike Mr. Chu's improper commentary. Mr. Quinn, were you in Penthouse 3 with Johnny and Amber or Mr. Depp and Amber during December 15th, 2015? Do you remember being there that day? Isaac, December 15th. What is it, 2015? He's like, I don't. Mr. Quinn, are you aware there are photos of her from that day with two black eyes? What? There is not. Mr. Chu, assumes facts, not on evidence. Isaac, do I say that again? Mr. Quinn, are you aware that there are photographs of her from that day after that incident with two black eyes? Ben Chu, objections, assumes facts, not on evidence. Miss Ben Chu, lack of foundation. Isaac, do you have them for me to see? Mr. Quinn, no, I'm asking whether you're aware of them. Isaac, oh, the only thing I'm aware of is the pictures from People Magazine where they're a part of People Magazine. Mr. Quinn, I'm asking about December 2015. Isaac, yeah. So is Isaac, Mr. Quinn. Mr. Quinn, but you've answered the question. Isaac, are the pictures is there pictures of? Mr. Quinn, I think you've answered my question. Mr. Quinn, so you weren't with Mr. Depp and Miss Heard on any of the occasions that she's alleged physical abuse took place. Is that correct? Isaac, correct. Mr. Quinn, okay. And the same is true, and you weren't with any of them every moment of the two of them they were together in private. Isaac, no, I was there. I was there to work. In Penthouse 2, asked Mr. Quinn. Isaac, yeah, I lived there and I would go to hang out. They were a married couple. Doing what their thing is. And, I'm doing what my thing is. I mean, I'm not going to waste the guy's money. He's supporting the bills for me to make art. So, got to respect that. And so, yeah, traveling between Johnny going places and stuff like that, how often they were actually there. But when they were there, I would, if they were there 30 days, I didn't hang out with them 30 days. That was Rocky and Josh. Rocky, and Josh, they every night, for them, it was, drink fest. But that oh my God, Isaac, you're killing me. And I don't really partake. I mean, I have a glass of wine every now and again, or I drink a beer every now and then. But the girls, that's an everyday affair. But so I'm there working, I'm painting, and that I'm not going to hang out every single day. So if they're there, let's say they're there 20 days out of the month, yeah, I might see them half of that. And then half of that, and then 10 days out of those days, it might be only, dude, what's happening? Just want to give you a hug. I'm busy doing other stuff or whatever. Same thing with her. Hello, give me a hug, kiss, and then, and then there's other times it might be 4 hours, 5 hours, or maybe it's all day. It was all night, Oh my God, Isaac. I love you, Isaac. Oh my God. Mr. Quinn, right. And Raquel Pennington and Josh drew around a lot more, right? Isaac, yeah, they were, suits. Mr. Quinn, and the same is true for Mr. Depp's previous relationships and marriages, that you weren't always around when he was in private with his. Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, girlfriend or wife? Isaac, right, correct. Mr. Quinn, let me ask a different question. If a husband believes that his wife has been unfaithful, do you believe it's okay to hit her? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, and if your wife yells at a husband, do you believe it's okay for your husband to hit her? Isaac, no. Mr. Quinn, if a wife yells at a husband when the husband is drunk, do you believe it's okay for the husband to hit her? Isaac, no. I don't think it's right to hit at all, which is why, when he confessed to me that, she likes to hit when arguing. She likes to argue and then to hit. And he says, listen, I'm not going to hit her. That's not me. You know that. And my advice was, listen, nothing is written in stone. You don't have to stay with this girl. You don't have to. There's nothing in writing. There's nothing written in stone that says people have to stay together. Sometimes a relationship could only last a night, could last a year, could last 3 years, could last a lifetime or 50 years if people are lucky and they get along with each other. If this doesn't mean that they get to stay together. So yeah, I don't think it's not right. I don't think it's right for a wife to hit the husband either. I mean, for what? What's the purpose of hitting at all? Mr. Quinn, all right. I'm going to. Isaac, that's where it's lost. That's where a relationship is lost. As soon as hitting comes in, unless it's a sexual thing and they're into S&M and that kind of thing, and then it's a consensual, situation, that's not their trip. That's not his trip. He's an old-fashioned guy, as he's told me. So, Mr. Quinn, all right, I'm going to move to strike the answer as non-responsive. Isaac, oh, geez, why am I talking so much if you're going to strike everything? Mr. Quinn, he's going back to my question. Ben Chu, he can't strike anything. Only the judge can strike something. He's moving to strike because he doesn't like to hear the truth. Mr. Quinn, Mr. Chu, that's an inappropriate commentary, and I'll move to strike that commentary. Ben Chu, it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Mr. Quinn, it's inappropriate and you know it. Ben Chu, you just don't like the answers. Mr. Quinn, that's inappropriate, sir, and you know it. I'll move to strike your inappropriate commentary. Isaac, it's okay. Let's just keep going. I don't want to argue. Mr. Quinn, I think before we move on, I just want to note for the record our continuing objection to the fact that Mr. Depp has produced not a single relevant communication with his witness. Isaac, which witness? Mr. Quinn, with Mr. Baruch, I'm sorry, I'm just making a note for the record that Mr. Depp, despite having many months to do so, and in some respects being under a court order to do so, has produced not a single relevant communication. Mr. Quinn, has produced not a single relevant communication relating to Mr. Baruch, has produced not a single transaction document relating to Mr. Baruch, and in other respects has failed to satisfy discovery obligations relating to this deposition. We've served written objections, and I reiterate those objections for the record. Ben Chu, we're too busy whiting through the hundreds of thousands of documents that you've all produced. Mr. Gwynn, again, object to Mr. Chu's improper commentary. With that, I've got no further questions right at this moment, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, are you sure you don't want to talk about Amber's ambition? Oh, shit! Mr. Quinn, I've got no further questions for you this time, Mr. Baruch. Isaac, okay, I thought maybe you want to ask me something about, the fact of how I saw her being a very ambitious person. And Mr. Quinn, Mr. Baruch, there's no question pending. Thank you, sir. Ben Chu, I have a few questions, and then we'll probably take a quick break. Okay, so now we're back to Ben Chu, and we were almost done. Mr. Baruch, did you want to say something about Miss Heard's ambition? Isaac, yeah, very ambitious girl, a very ambitious woman, should I say? And that I remember her father sitting down, having a conversation with her father, and her father telling me that, she was the person in the family that no one wants to argue with. She always got her way, and she was very ambitious and very strong-minded, and I always remembered that. And it actually showed in just, when she did it, how she ran things in the apartment and stuff. She completely redecorated the apartment. Once they got married, she completely redecorated the apartment with instead of art hanging on the walls, well, I guess photographs could be art. I don't want to sound gestalt, but she took all the art down, pretty much a good percentage of the art down, and all of that hung up was framed pictures of herself and her friends and some of Johnny, but also a good majority was just of her. And I thought that was very narcissistic. And yeah, all of that she wanted to succeed. And that's how I saw it. Mr. Chu, did her father tell you that she had posters of Johnny Depp in her room at home growing up? Mr. Quinn, objection, leading. Isaac, no, that he didn't. Ben Chu, I believe you, Tess. Well, let me just ask, have you ever seen Miss Her drink? Isaac, yep. Mr. Chu, have you ever seen her drunk? Isaac, you know something? I don't know if she was drunk or not. She held her booze pretty good. Ben, was drinking a daily affair for her? Isaac, well, from what I was around, if, hanging out, yeah, there would be wine all the time. Ben, did she take drugs? Isaac, I never saw her taking drugs, although one time I remember sitting at the table, I remember going over there, and me, Johnny, Amber, and Amber's mom were there, and I kind of was wondering, are these guys doing drugs? Because I remember her mother's jaw going pretty damn quick, but but I didn't see anything. And so I don't know if that's speculation, that guys, if you take that out, that could be speculation, correct? Ben, yes. And Mr. Baruch, I asked you in questioning earlier today, you mentioned a hairdresser of Amber's, and you couldn't. Isaac, yeah. Hairdresser. Oh no, she was the makeup artist. Was it Melanie Iglesias? Isaac, Melanie, yeah, I think that was her name. Isn't it Melanie? Melanie, she's got the tattoos. Her boy, yeah, I think Melanie. Ben, did you ever hear about Io Tillett Wright assaulting Rocking Pennington? Isaac, you know something? I think I heard something about that. We talked about that earlier, that I heard maybe after the fact, she went off on her. Yeah, and hit her. Mr. Quinn, moved to strike on the grounds of hearsay, lack of foundation. Ben, do you have any particulars about that, or is it just something you heard? Isaac, oh, it was just, it was something maybe brought up, because I wouldn't go to the wedding. So it was then I had to hear, from people and stuff who went, I heard a little bit from Amber, a little bit from John, I heard a little bit from Whitney, heard a little bit from Rocky. Rocky came over and showed me the pictures of everything. I heard a little bit from Josh, and somewhere in there was a thing. Io, whacked, there was something that was going on where it was Io whacked Rocky. Ben, did Rocky say that Io whacked her? Isaac, oh, I don't remember if it was her. No, because if she told me, I probably remember it was more in the aspect of Rocky told me that Io went off on her. Ben, did anyone tell you that they had witnessed it? Mr. Quinn, objection, calls for hearsay. Ben Chu, did anyone tell you that they actually saw him or her hit Rocky? Isaac, say that again? Ben, well, you said that you heard stories that it might have happened. Did anyone say that they witnessed him hit Rocky? Isaac, oh. Mr. Quinn, objection, leading, calls for hearsay. Isaac, yeah, no. It wasn't, whoever was telling me the story is how I know Then it wasn't someone was describing to me, telling me, oh yeah. And then all of a sudden out of nowhere, Io clocks Rocky or something like that, smacks him. No. It was more of, it was like this. Io rocked Rocky. Ben, when Whitney Heard was living at the Eastern Columbia building, did she have a job? Isaac, you know something? I don't know. Ben, when Rocky was living at? Isaac, wait a second. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think she was working for an art charity of thing that I think Amber got her this gig at. She was working for an art charity, I think. It might have been, but it's something like that. A charity, if I'm not mistaken. Ben, what about Rocky? Did she have a job? Isaac, Rocky wasn't working for a while, I believe. And then she started doing yoga. She started teaching yoga, whatever, at a yoga joint. And she started teaching yoga classes. Yeah. And then she, did the beads. Don't know if she ever sold any beads. Ben Chu. Well, Mr. Baruch, I thank you very much for taking the time an entire day to come and testify here. We greatly appreciate it. And it says, Isaac, and hopefully you derive the truth out of all of it. Ben Chu, thank you. Witness, okie dokie. And then they're off the record. Oh boy. So that was it. That was Isaac Baruch's deposition. We got a lot out of that. But what I was thinking was when Mr. Quinn asked if he was having, if he was lovers with Johnny, Not only did Paul Baresi ask that, but Amber's actual lawyers asked that. So what does that tell me? That tells me that Amber told her lawyers and Paul Baresi that that was actually true. That was to humiliate Isaac. And what did she do with Jen Howell? She also did something to humiliate Jen Howell when she told her lawyers that Jen Howell had told her that in a previous life she was married to and had children with James Franco. I'm interested to see what happens with Aaron Filati and Christian Carino. So that's it. That's all. It's been a long one. I'm exhausted. You guys have a great day. I love you and I appreciate every single one of you.